You got to go and find somebody. Somebody else who knows you better. Yeah, when you find that something, you lost inside.
There I go again, breaking your heart, left in the dark, 2 worlds apart. There I go again, stuck in the streets. I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. I know you're feeling up with pain, cause I'm stuck in this game, and there's no one else to blame except myself. It's strange, and I cannot feel the pain. Look, you wanted me to change, and I know you can't stand the way you feel. So in the dark, 2 worlds apart. There I go again, stuck in the streets. I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. There I go again, try to get a Benz. You tell me that there's more than life than selling. I can change for the money I'll get. All I knew in life's rebelling in this way of life. There's no talent, especially if you guys commit violence. Some of them are locked, but that's unless.
are who you wanna be. You get all them oohs and them eyes almost every week. Must be something new, something fresh, something I don't see. If this was a show, man, I know you would be the lead. Keep me on my toes, just in case I slip away. Even if I did, I'd be back another day. I never play around with you. If I was on your team, I'd never lose. If I was in your dreams, you'd never snooze. Cause I love the way that you do what you do, what you do. I love the way that you do what you do. I love the way that you do what you do, what you do, what you do. I love the way that you do what you do. I love the way you wake up in the morning. We can take a shower, take a couple hours. Now we on into the money, we just let it blow. Still in that simple life, we take it slow, we take it slow. You ain't scared to take it fast. You ain't
There I go again, breaking your heart, left in the dark, 2 worlds apart. There I go again, stuck in the streets. I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. I know you're feeling up with pain, cause I'm stuck in this game, and there's no one else to blame except myself. Is strange, and I cannot feel the pain. Look, you wanted me to change, and I know you can't stand the way you feel. So in the streets, I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. There I go again, try to get a Benz. You tell me that there's more than life than selling. I can change for the money I'll get. All I knew in life's rebelling in this way of life. There's no talent, especially if you guys commit violence. Some of them are locked, but that's some lesson.
playoffs time yet again. Don't you love to be here? It is the DoorDash LCO, and we got another beautiful lower bracket game coming up today. Yes, look, you can see something back there. That's fine. I'll fix that. Look, all right, good. And I'm all of a sudden, the illusion's real again. It's not my room. I am just here, one with the banner. But look, to get into the action, we have to have a look back at the crazy game we had yesterday. There was 5 games in the series. It was a big series, and hopefully we get another one today. So let's not waste any more time. Have a quick look back at that, shall we?
Put that damage down onto the Nexus. Maximize back on up. I think they might have it. Chungy, one more auto. He's back down with the Guardian Angel. How much more can he get done? Order, well, Kevy gets in there and smites it away. A little bit too easy sometimes on the Lee Sin. They've kicked Aladoric back into, well, nowhere essentially. He's done so. Puma free hitting at the start of the fight, but once things start to turn back in the favor of Peace, he goes down very quickly indeed. Was it worth it for Order? I think it's a resounding no.
It just feels like that Peace, in terms of identifying their win conditions.
Surely that's a flash angle for Chungy. It forces the same out from Tally.
That's deep.
But that is not good for Order. Oh, that's really bad for Order. And big damage onto Appy, but ultimately the numbers are going to favor Peace in a position like that. Heavy tries to assist, and that will be the nail in the coffin for Order in game number 4. Puma.
Oh, what a damn day that was yesterday, and we've got another big day of games today. Well, technically it's one game, one series, but we still have 3 of the talent that you guys love at home, and I love as well. So let's bring them in and have a quick chat about what's going to go down today. Oh, fresh face, only one of them though. What's up, Skiminator? How you doing?
Good, bro. I mean, far out. What a series we had last week. Oh, last night. I was watching that one on the couch. I was strapped in with Carbon. We were, analyzing all the action, learning a few lessons from a man that has accomplished so much. And despite Legacy not being able to be there, I was able to take full focus of everything that he had to learn and sort of understand, why a game, thankfully, or why a series can actually go to distance and go to all 5. So, stoked to see that we actually broke the LC3O curse.
Oh, yes, that is very true. Now, hopefully we get another 4 or 5 game thriller today. We definitely have 2 teams in the server that are willing to live up to that. But of course, Jubes, look, yesterday you felt like no one loved you until Twitch chat typed 1. Do you feel loved today?
Well, can I say to you, I don't rip the flamingo shirt out for any occasion. It's got to be for the right one. I said, when I find the right person, I'm wearing the flamingo shirt. And Twitch chat, you've made me put it on. So again, thank you so much, and I'm glad to be here with you. Most of the time I'm glad to be here with the talent, but for today only, Twitch chat, I'll tell you what, you got a spot in my heart.
Well, there it is. So, Jubes and Twitch chat, relationship starting to kindle, maybe. Is it a love that we've always been waiting for? Who knows? Nat, what do you know? It's a new day.
I mean, I don't know too much, but I'm going to at least pretend to know a little bit today. I'm channeling a little bit of my inner Rusty today as well. We have exchanged some notes prior to this show in terms of matchups, predictions, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to try and pretend that I know as much as Rusty.
I don't think that's hard, honestly. I think Rusty's, acts like he knows a lot about the game, but it's just how nicely he speaks, how well-spoken the man is.
It's true, he is very elegantly spoken.
It just makes him seem smarter than look, he's not at the top of the tips so far. That is Skimmy, who's here and can obviously start to talk about that, but we'll talk about that once we get there. For now, let's have a quick look at the bracket. Let's see where all the teams are at the moment before we do get into today's game. And of course, you can see today's game is here. It is Direwolves and Peace, the final lower bracket round before we jump into the grand finals next week, and that's going to be a banger too. Yesterday, of course, it was Order and Peace. Order got knocked out, taking 2 games, Peace with 3, and they have moved in towards this lower bracket game up against Direwolves today. So it's going to be a crazy one, and Jubes, can you tell me why it's going to be crazy?
Why today's going to be a crazy one?
Yeah.
You ask. Well, these 2 well, yeah, that too, but these 2 teams in particular are probably the hottest coming into this series, right? Obviously, aside from PGG. Yeah, Order took them to 5 games, but I don't think that's a knock on Peace. I mean, Order are a fantastic team, so the fact that Peace were able to scrape it over the line, it's going to do wonders for their confidence leading into this Direwolves game, because, now they feel, wherever the series is, no matter what game it's at, there's always a way back into the series. So Direwolves can't rest on their laurels, and, I mean, watching the game, you kind of learn a lot about yourself, but Direwolves sometimes, they might have more questions than answers, right? Because there was a few things we saw towards the end, the Twisted Fate from Tally that maybe we weren't expecting, and a few picks where we kind of asked now, do Direwolves need to change their priority or what they pick and what they ban in this series?
Yeah, it's a good question. Now, you've already said a lot of words, Jubes, and I'd like to share the love. So we do have some key picks today. And Skimmy, I'm going to let you go first because Jubes already had his part.
Yeah, we picked up these top 4 picks for a whole host of different reasons. You start off there in the top lane for Camille. Claire is undefeated on his champion in the second half of the split, both in split 2 as well as in the playoffs. So he's absolutely in love with this champion. They broke apart some of the success elsewhere with the Zinzao as well as the Bard for the Direwolves, but we saw Appy play a whole bunch yesterday too. Actually, for these 2 players, it's their top 2 most contested pick. It opens up so much on the map, right? The ability to engage in skirmishes, to assist your jungle if he comes up to that top side, and also play for split push if the fights aren't working out too well. Rise also we saw a lot. It's the most play between both Shock as well as Tally. Tally comes into this one, obviously role swapping all the time, but still looking so consistent on it. You'd imagine that Shock would be the more purist in that Mage Magician position, but no doubt Tally showed that he can really take full control of the utility global presence, be it the Rise, be it the Twisted Fate. So I think that's going to be a highly contested pick, whether banned as well. Rakan's also an interesting one because we know that Aladoric plays it a whole bunch. You'd say champion. We know that Cupcake in recent weeks also has been quite keen to pick it up, but it does open up the option of Leona. We saw Bard come out as well, which once again, both support players are very comfortable on. So I think you start to ask yourself, what is worth banning more? Do you actually have to invest 2 bans into the supports in that first rotation? And then finally, Viego, no surprises there. We know that only plays it a whole bunch. We saw Babip actually get his very first game of the entirety of Split 2 last night. What a time to find it, right? You got only limited bans, 5 to juggle around, and I think there's a lot of time where you're expecting. I'm never permanently banned away. It's got 100% presence across all the playoffs, 82% presence. That's either being picked or banned across the entire split. It's a champion that is highly contested, highly played, and really fits the bill for both these teams wanting to fight all the time.
Very true. Now, Juice, before we move along, you want to have your say on these champs as well? Or do you think Skimmy summed it up nice?
I mean, Skimmy's the stat man. I mean, it's stats Nat, but Skimmy does a lot of research too into the statistics, and I think he hit the nail on the head with all of these picks. Particularly for me, the Viego, right? I think that Babip and Only do the same job for their teams respectively, but they've actually come from a place where they've been both carry junglers. So the fact that they kind of go back to this niche of like ganking, utility, and supporting their team, I think it's going to make for an interesting kind of chess match in the jungle.
Very good, very good. Now, we do have my favourite segment here, which unfortunately is empty again because you've all been lazy, but that's okay. It is, we're chilling. It was Tuesday, now it's Wednesday. It's time to start to fire things up as it's getting towards the end of the week. So please send in all your content from the fans. We love to see it. All the memes, all the trash talk. We saw a little bit of trash talk on Twitter yesterday. Not sure if you want to send that in. Even if it's not yours to send in, who bloody knows?
Screenshots work well.
That's it.
They work very
Screenshots
well.
do work well. We could talk about that. We could also talk about what you're having for dinner. If you've ordered your DoorDash, you're sitting at your TV or your screen or just with your mobile. What else do you watch LCO on? Who knows? Send me the weirdest way you're watching LCO right now. Are you in the pool? Do you have an underwater device and you're trying to hold your breath the whole time because that's going to go for a couple of hours at least? And I'd be very impressed that you're holding your breath for that long. But that's just a suggestion. It's pretty cold. It's winter. I wouldn't jump in the pool unless you like that kind of thing. No discrimination here. But speaking of discrimination, we're only going to pick up one champ for the champ quiz because, again, we have another fun quiz for you guys, or for us on the desk, and you guys to figure it all out. So here are the images. We need to figure this is, and then what the names of them are. So
I think I know what it is, and I think I know the odd one out.
Is it an odd one out?
Oh, it's odd one out. Okay. So we're doing...
It is, right?
Which one's the odd one out?
It's what the players did yesterday, how we've got a set of abilities from one champion, and then one of them is an odd one out to another.
I know that. I know that.
And you have to pick which 2 champs it is.
So can I go, or what's the process?
Yes, put your hand up. Get your points. Go.
I think it's Nico. Yep. And I think the odd one out is the Q. I think that's Lilia. That's a Lilia ability.
Yeah.
And the
I was going to say I know the Lilia one.
The Lilia ability is her W.
The W, yep.
You can even see it. Lilia's in it. I think that's completely on the money. Is he right, Phil? He certainly is. There you go.
Out.
So I think you have it. Also, do we have any more, or is that it?
We're not meant to get that quickly.
Jubes made it too easy.
It.
But just like,
absolutely
wow,
smurfing. Man's on fire. So you
Turns
got
out we're not only pretty
4 points?
faces, huh, team?
I think it's 2 points, right? You get one for the champ, one for the champ, one for the ability. You get 3 points, and no one else has any points because there's no more points.
No,
to get,
we should get a point each. I bullied my way into that. Like, that was a team effort. That was collective.
If you want to be the winner, that's what you got to do, though, Jude. So congratulations. I have a trophy here. It's the closest thing to a cup because it's a cup. It's not gold. You can have it.
You know, rinse that before you give it to me, or what?
It's going to give you some energy. There's a bit of caffeine.
It's just a lot of stuff going on in there, mate. Now, what's next? We do have. Oh, okay. So we're about to get into the games. That's what's going down. It's time to talk Direwolves and Peace. But before we talk, again, we are going to have a listen to the pros to see what they have to say about one another.
I think that Direwolves, like, they stomped Order, but they got stomped by Pentanet, and I'm extremely confident about us against Pentanet. The preparation against Direwolves is extremely easy, and then, like, we just have to play well, and we'll just win.
I think Peace are a really strong team, and in a lot of ways, I think they could be considered the favorite coming into our series. Peace's playstyle I would describe as PGG turned up to 11. I think they play even more for their bot lane, and their mid-jungle is, like, more willing to sack for their team.
They like to play, like, Mage's bot, like, something that just allows Junkrat to 1v2 lane and allow Cupcake to roam. But that's also like what we like doing with Aladoric. So if they try to match us in this kind of playstyle, I think that's very good for us.
In order to beat Peace, I think the most important things are stopping their bot lane from taking over and also punishing their weaker mid-jungle. I think this is kind of difficult because, one, their bot lane is really strong, and two, their mid-jungle is quite good at minimizing.
Direwolves as a team are going to invest a lot of resources into mid lane to try to get Shock ahead, and it's just going to be a huge AD canyon. Since they're so predictable, we're going to be coming into almost every game just on comfort.
It would be a disappointment to all the OC mid laners if a role-swapped mid laner took the world spot 2 years in a row, so I'm going to have to make sure I put a stop to that.
I can't even think of anything that I would want to say to Direwolves. I don't even think they're worth trash talking at this point. I just think it's going to be a quick 3-0.
Well, there you have it. Straight from the pros' mouths. It's already turning into a spicy one, and we haven't even got to the pre-game interview yet. But we still have a way to go before we get there. So let's talk Direwolves first. They are coming down from the lower bracket after getting 3-0'd by PGG, and I'm sure that they would like revenge, but they got to get past Peace first.
They do, and obviously this has been the lineup. Claire only, Shock, Gunkrab, Cupcake, who have really put the wins together. More importantly, I think Shock has been the, I guess, ahead of that resurgence, right? In terms of, I feel like every game we've seen Direwolves have a lot of success, he's just completely mid-gap the series. Like mid-canyon would probably be more accurate. And I think, this is going to be where Direwolves are going to have a lot of their success if they do find some this series. It's going to be the only in Shock show, which I guess they kind of touched on in that interview, right? Talia even said they're going to put a big emphasis on the mid lane. So it's going to be exciting to see how this game, I guess, comes to fruition.
I'm sure that it could, of course, Skimmy. We did see Only absolutely popping off the other day, or I think maybe it was 2 weeks ago, because even though he played, I think, a good couple of games up against PGG, it was just PGG show as expected, I guess. However, look, there's points like this where you did see Direwolves, I guess, get ahead, have a couple of decent team fights, but PGG were just no match for them. However, going up against Peace, what do you see Direwolves' way into this game?
But I think you look at mid lane, first of all, with Shock, as already touched on, and I say he's not a person that you're looking to, really establish the first blood, but he's going to be dominant in other areas, right? Superior laning ability, picking up CS advantages, good roams, XP differences, and just working his way in with incremental differences that allow him to then be an influence elsewhere on the map. I think the real engine has to be Only. He's really hit this part of form where he is very aggressive, picks up about 30% of his team's kill share. He's looking to try and really get the ball rolling by contesting crabs, drawing resources from top and mid, putting the lanes in a position where he can afford to be quite aggressive in the likes of the Zinzao, Volibear, and so on. Anything that needs to try and find a little bit of tempo pre-6, but especially after 6, if he's got a lead, he can look to try and be that much more haphazard with it. So I think it sounds like a repetitive narrative, but I do really feel like mid-jungle is where they excel. And if we saw yesterday with Order and how the Diana and Yasuo caused Peace a few problems, it could be another situation for Direwolves to exploit.
Very true, very true. Now we've got to talk Peace as well, so let's have a look at who they're going to be running today. I dare say it's the same one as yesterday, and it will be, so no surprises here. We got Appy, Babip, Tally, Violet, and Aladoric and Jubes. What is their key to success? Because we already heard it was that mid-jungle combo yesterday. Are we expecting that to be the key to success again, or do we think we're going to see a bit more from Aladoric and Violet in that bot lane?
Well, I don't think Babip and Tally are the same 2v2 that Shock and Only are. And not that they can't take it to them 2v2, but I think Tally is very safe, very stable. And we saw that in the 5 games that they pretty much played last night. Where I think they excel, and where I think that they're going to get a majority of their leads and potentially take this series is in bot side of the map, right? With Violet and Aladoric. But I think we even separate that 2v2. Because as we saw last night, it's not even a 2v2 for long. It's the Aladoric in top side. It's the Aladoric in mid lane. So it's just going to be a numbers game, simply put. But it's the way that Aladoric and Violet 2v2 that allows Aladoric this freedom, and particularly even how they draft, right? He's getting the counter pick on support. So it's going to be a lot to do with draft, a lot to do with what they pick. But yeah, also how they lane early, and if Aladoric can be freed up, you know, even pre-level 6.
Yeah, I think support's definitely going to be a big talking point, given that some of these, sort of as we mentioned, right, with key picks and what it allows them to unlock and do. But I also think top lane is going to be a big area for Appy to try and bully. We've seen Claire stick to a few key champions. You're talking about the Nard, Renekton, and Camille. Hasn't really deviated away from that too much unless really required. I think Appy, now that he's really coming back into his own, kind of like a bit of a resurgence of that split one performance. There's a lot of different champions that he can look to exploit, a lot of champions that he can look to try and mirror the dominance he showed against Maximize last night. You know, you're talking about Ken and Mordecai as the son. There's going to be some draft advantages that he could potentially play around and find a point of power.
Very, very true indeed. Now, Nat, what's your thought on the situation, and who do you have for us for the pregame?
I mean, I'll say my thoughts afterwards when we get to predictions, and I will jump straight into the interview with Guncrab and Violet. Thank you both so much for joining me. Violet, you guys are coming off a pretty big day from yesterday, going all 5 games. So how are you feeling coming into this one? How's the team's energy?
We're all like super excited to play again. Honestly, like playing this many games is like, it was really fun because in best of ones, it's like really boring. Like after you can only play like 1 game, but when there's like 2 best of 5s in a row, like the dopamine is just off the charts.
I love to hear it. Does that mean you're hoping this one goes a little bit longer than a 3-0 tonight?
I mean, I think that's up to how Darrell's play if they want to make it a challenge for us.
I like to hear it. Guncrab, how are you guys going over at Dials? We haven't seen you since last week.
Yeah, we've been prepping pretty hard for this match. We actually thought that Peace would probably be like guaranteed to make it to the next stage. But it was surprising to see the series go 5 games. So we're kind of looking to just, you know, smack down Peace quickly and shut down their momentum from previous series. I think series is probably going to go 2-0, and it's up to Peace if they want to do the reverse sweep again or not.
I like it. You know, seeing Peace have those 5 games yesterday, has it given you guys a little bit more information on their drafting and playstyle? And if so, you know, can you lend me any details as to what some of the key information could be?
Yeah, for sure. The series going 5 games definitely gave us a lot more information about some of the picks they prioritize and what's working for them. But I don't want to say anything specifically.
Okay, that is totally fair. Violet, over on the side of Peace, we heard a little bit from Juves and Skimmy about their ideas as to where your advantage is, but I want to hear from you where you think Peace's advantage is coming into this series. Where do you think is going to be the biggest gap? Is it the draft, the bot lane, whereabouts?
I mean, we've prepared like a lot this week in terms of draft. We've had a lot of discussion, so I'd say like in terms of draft, we're very well prepared. But I don't think there's like any like weak links on our team. I think my top's just gonna gap. My jungle and mid are always solid, and bot, it's me and Aladoric. So we're all like really solid, and I don't think there's any specific weak links in the team in comparison to Direwolves. So.
Okay, and having such a short turnaround time from yesterday to preparing for Direwolves today, do you think that it has been enough for you guys? Obviously, you're confident in your skills, but in terms of that knowledge of their gameplay, do you think there's been enough for you guys?
I mean, we've been practicing for like both. Like we've been like talking about drafts for both teams at like already like after like last week. So like it's not like we had like one day to prepare for them.
Yeah, definitely. Also, shout out to Babip in the background there watching the interview. I appreciate that one. Supporting the LCO. Gun Crab, are you afraid? We saw the Bard come out yesterday. Are you afraid that that's something that's going to be highly contested today?
Not really. I think.
Okay, you don't think
we have the best Bard on the server. So by nature, he's going to know what's good into Bard if they do decide to lock in that champ again.
Okay, I see a little bit of cheese smile bar. Do you think that that's an appropriate approach from Direwolves to not be too afraid?
I mean, I don't think it matters. I think Eldor's champ pool is 10 times bigger than Cupcakes, to be honest. So like Eldor can whip out whatever he wants and smurf up the game.
I love to hear it. The last question I do want to ask you guys is series prediction. How many games do you think this one is going to go to Violet?
I think it's going to be a 3-0. Last year I was teammates with Gunkrab, and he taught me a lot last year, but this series I'm going to teach him a thing or two.
I like it. Gunkrab, what about you? Where do you think this series is going to go?
Like I said before, Direwolves are going to go 2-0 up, and it's up to Violet, honestly, if he wants to do the reverse sweep.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. I like it. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what's happening down there in the bot lane. Thank you both so much, and good luck for the series today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Well, there you have it. And good to see this, the sportsmanship that was expected. Both wishing each other good luck. Violet, of course, saying, the only way that it's going to be a best of five game series is if Direwolves bring the thunder, because we reckon that they have arrived to play. Now, Nat, we'll get your thoughts in a second on the matchup, but it is time to have a quick look at the predictions to see what all the talent think. I've gone with the Twitch prediction, 3-0 as per usual. Let's see how that one goes. I'm currently just ahead of Jubes, who's decided to go for Direwolves here, 3-1. So you and Skimmy roughly on the same page. Why do you think it's going to be a 3-1, Jubes?
I think Peace showed us a lot of things that Direwolves, if watching that game, could benefit from, particularly in the draft, but also, the way that they operated and the way they played the game in terms of slowing it down and trying to hit that 10 CS per minute mark on their mid lane. I think if you play the game with a little bit of tempo and a little bit of a stronger early game, you can probably take over.
And what about you, Skimmy? Why have you gone this way? And you've gone for 5 maps again.
Yeah, I mean, I've just, literally every series I've gone for 5 maps because I want to see it go down to the wire. But also for the same reason, sort of breaking down Jube's point a little bit more, I look at Peace as being this very dominant early game side that will never wait for the perfect play. They're always going to take the 50-50, always going to look for, the 40-60 and say, we just think we're better mechanically than you. And I think whilst it looks really flashy and can net them a lot of wins, it can also be a bit of a hindrance at times, right? Perhaps their ego, the mechanics get in their own way. And a team like Direwolves are far too well drilled to get caught out by that multiple times. So I feel like there's a chance for this series to go the distance, and also for that drafting that we mentioned with the key picks and sort of the champion roster that they all have to really be put on full display.
And let's jump onto page 2 now and see what Nat thinks is going to happen, and also why Rusty is the only one going for Peace, because you said you are going to be Rusty here as well.
I am. It was quite funny. I put in my prediction for Direwolves 3-0 at the same time that Rusty messaged me that he had gone for Peace 3-0, and I was like, well, this is going to be interesting if I have to speak on behalf of you and myself. We've got the two extremes covered here. But I do have Rusty's notes. I don't want to take any words out of his mouth. I am just going to read it. I do apologize. His first one, and probably I think the most important reason why he's gone for the Peace 3-0, is that he tweeted out a poll and the majority of people voted for Peace, so he went with that one. But the second one he said is Aladoric is going to go off and has shown Bard can be picked by Peace, so may force Direwolves into an early Bard pick to get that priority, which could be an issue for them. If not, they might be getting that ban away, which could be a wasted ban, some might see that one as. So I think it definitely comes down to the supports on Rusty's side, and he just thinks that Aladoric's going to be showing up. I've gone for Direwolves because if we look at their track record against Order, I guess Peace had to go all the way to the 5 games, whereas Direwolves could take down Order in a 3-0. I know it's not necessarily always the same. It's different weeks, different orders showing up, all that sort of stuff. But I also do think that it took Peace 2-3 games to kind of really realize a little bit more about this drafting, the gameplay-wise, the momentum of the game for Order in that certain day yesterday. And so I think maybe it's a sort of similar thing that could happen today. It takes them too long to realize the momentum or the game style that Direwolves are going to be bringing today.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that one. Now, I might end up being on the same bandwagon with Rusty there if Twitch chat decides it. Of course, it is you guys at home who get to choose my prediction and see if I can make this comeback mechanic work. Of course, I think, Rusty's kind of gone for that as well because that may be his opportunity to actually catch back up with Skimmy too.
True.
However, that is me putting words in his mouth. I don't know if that is it. I'll tell you in a couple of minutes because he's in chat. I see his name just floating through. But at the same time, let's have a quick look at the head-to-head between both of the bot laners here, both of the ADCs. And initially, look, we got 2 guns in the hands of Violet, but we got 2 bananas in the hands of Guncrab. So I feel like Twitch chat needs to go for Direwolves just off the back of these poses.
I'll tell you what, I've seen dangerous men before. I've seen a lot of dangerous men in the street, in movies, Jason Statham movies. And Guncrab is one of the most dangerous men I've seen with those bananas. I would not look at that guy in an alleyway. I'll tell you that much right now. Whereas like Violet, he looks cute. You know what I mean? He looks cute in that photo. He looks good. But those bananas, they're deadly, man. What? Look at him. But back to the stats. That's why we went to this graphic. Obviously the average KDA is a little bit of a skewed one because I think Guncrab's played a lot of different champions. Like he's played the Ziggs, played the Xerath, he played support, probably doesn't get factored in. But, I feel like in terms of diversifying and maybe limit testing a little bit, this is kind of where his KDA is, fallen. But obviously Violet, we know him to be that, one consistent player, for the whole year on the side of Peace. And I mean, he's touted as the best AD carry in the region for a reason. But these stats are too different in the terms of like it's a 3% damage difference or damage share difference. But then if you think about it compositionally and what Guncrab's done for the team, it all makes a little bit of sense that there's a bit of variability there. So I'm excited to see how they match up. And I think that's why it's an exciting style because we never know what we're going to get with Guncrab. As simple as that picture.
I think it goes back to 2020, right, when they played on the same team with each other. The fact that Violet played the majority of the games, but Guncrab did get a fair share, about 30-40% of the playing time with him, and they played very different champions, right? The fact that Violet is your typical mobile AD hyper carry that wants to try and get the high stats, wants to get the lane dominance, the first blood, the gold difference, and so on. But Guncrab is much more keen to bust out the Ziggs, bust out the Heimerdinger, play the Xerath as we've seen as well, and say that maybe a little bit of respect towards her, right? To say that, yeah, you are better mechanically than me, but I have different strengths, which is what my team plays around, right? So I think in isolation, you would say that Violet is the outright better player. But compositionally, I think Direwolves have a different strength and they play around Guncrab for different reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'm damn hungry, not only for some action, but for some DoorDash too. So exclamation DoorDash in chat, get yourself something for dinner. I'd show you my phone where my food is currently on its way, but I don't want to dox myself, so I'm not going to do that. But it is time for Champ Select. It's game time. Ladies and gentlemen, here you go.
Beautiful, Mac. Well, let's crack on with the semi-final. A single best of 5 to decide who will be meeting Pensnet for a chance at Worlds. Let's see what the drafting does look like. And already right out the bat, it isn't going to be the Rakan ban. They've instead actually gone for the Leona as well as the Bards.
Yeah, this is interesting to me. Obviously, Direwolves have done their homework and they're coming out into game 1 swinging, right? Because if you said to me, Direwolves' first 3 bans, Camille, Leona, Renekton, I would have said you're joking because they're probably 2 of Claire's most played champions, right? Yeah. And traditionally, maybe they ban the Renekton, force Peace to decide if they want the Camille first pick, and then take the Camille in 2 and 3. Instead, they've given away the Viego, which we've seen to be time and time again extremely volatile. Giving that champion away, I mean, it's got about a 60% win rate in playoffs alone, because it was at 58% yesterday, did win again. So I believe it'll be somewhere, at 60%. Not a math man myself, but someone help me out with the statistics side. So, so far, I kind of like what Peace have put together.
Yeah, I mean, it's very strong already right out the gates. This is a pick that I was also thinking about in the background. We've not seen this play from Guncrab at all. In fact, they've actually only ever banned it against the likes of PGG as well as Gravitas. But this is a conversation I think that you and me were having during rehearsal once upon a time, right? If you think that the enemy AD carry is slightly better than you, play utility, be it Varus, Kallisto, or Ashe. And I think this plays really, really well into Guncrab's hands.
Ashe is just like the equalizer of bot lane. Doesn't have a bad matchup. Itemization's very good. Outranges a lot of the traditional AD carries. You know, you could keep going down the list as to why Ashe is kind of rising to prominence in the meta. But more importantly, they actually managed to get double bot lane pick into double bot lane bans.
Yep.
So there's still going to be a Rakan counter pick available, whether that's the Nautilus or the Alistar, but they've taken away the problems or the perceived problems that Direwolf has into Ashe, right? So the Tristana's gone, the Ezreal's gone, and now, you know, if history repeats itself, we might see Violet opt in for Kai'Sa, and then that's not necessarily a great matchup. Like, you're not happy with that Ashe into Kai'Sa just in isolation, because yeah, you'll scale, yeah, you'll do well, but I mean, at what cost?
It does beg the question, and what would their bot lane be? I mean, we know Aladoric is a big fan of the Bard, the Braum, paired up with the Kai'Sa. Going to be quite easy to stack that. Concussor blows up nice and early, but also the Rel. I think Rel's also a pick that he's been quite keen to display. Quickly on a talking point, the fact that the Rise has not been banned away. I thought they might have got punished in that second rotation, but it's just going to be a bit of a gentleman's agreement, much like the series last night, where both mid laners play for global pressure and look to try and find their ult advantage first.
Yeah, but you can't take Braum in this lane because you're into the Ashe, you're just going to get kited, but also Rakan is a soft counter for the Braum too. So then you're just going to get double counter picked in the 80 carry department. So Ashe already has a good time into the Aphelios.
Okay.
Thresh being drafted for
Makes
composition is fine. Yeah, like, it's a fine 2v2. Aphelios and Thresh is the most meta 2v2 that we see, like, in terms of a combo, in terms of a duo. So it makes a lot of sense. But I mean, yeah, they've just rounded their composition out with the set. So obviously,
this is the first set we've actually seen from Claire in a very long while. All of actually this year. I think he actually busted out at the tail end of 2020 when he was playing mid lane for the Chiefs. But he's going to show us here today. I mean, Appy's a phenomenal set player, but also he's going to play only his second game of the year as a Jace. And he got very different styles, but much to the sort of the highlight talking points of what makes Peace and Direwolf strong.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, all series, even last night, Peace have heavily opted in for this side lane gameplay, right? Like, they've heavily opted in for Tally to gank side lane. Like, that is just been his inevitable role in all of the games, whether that's on the Rise or the Twisted Fate. And he played the Silas, but that game was a shambles, right? Not his fault. I mean, but the game was just a wash where Order won that one. So in terms of what they've drafted so far, I mean, we saw yesterday, it was TF with the Camille, but Tally ported top lane every single time.
Yeah.
And they've picked a volatile side lane to have that impacted by the Twisted Fate. So again, they haven't detoured from their plan. They haven't changed anything. It's the same piece that we saw yesterday, but Direwolves have had time to prepare, and I do believe this is why they've drafted the set. As we get to a meme here real quick.
Yeah, quickly interrupt that talking point because ourselves an angry wolf and a dragon that, well, it's definitely not 1080p. It's certainly looking to try and be extinguished, but we can already tell from Raf what he's thinking will be the outcome.
Who wins that? That dragon or the wolf?
I imagine it's the wolf, given how angry it looks. But
it looks scarier.
I tell you what, this is a draft, and I mean, as you say, I think this is really fitting for the mid lane matchup. Both are looking to try and be as stable as possible, really hit that 10 CS per minute, avoid some of those ganks if possible, and look to then say, ultimate's online, let's gank a side lane. Let's look to try and turn up the attention, be it top side, even bot side, but I imagine bot side's going to be left on a bit of an island, unless Aladoric really looks to try and roam and match the Rakan, which he's obviously very comfortable with. But you'd imagine it has to be the top side, and I'm wondering, given that set is so hard to gank, if that'll be a saving grace here for the Direwolves. So we're into the very first game of the night. And we're going to quickly jump in here with a bit of an interview, but before we do so, a bit of a level 1 action takes place, and Violet already falls to flash away. So let's take a moment to breathe, and let's welcome in Direwolves' very own Farmer to talk about this series and sort of how the boys are being coasting along. Mate, I'm going to start quickly by reflecting on your series against PGG. Bit of a humbling defeat, 3-0. What sort of lessons that were learned from that?
Minions have spawned.
Well, I guess I can't really say the exact lessons, but we took away a lot. We took away a lot about what the value of momentum was, about, you know, where we were at as a team and what we needed to improve on. And we're pretty confident that this week we got a lot done. So that's all I'll say for now.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I like the draft so far. Touching on momentum, as you mentioned, are you at all concerned by the fact that Peace were able to go the full distance, perform a reverse sweep, and coming in now with a lot of momentum and sort of style of their own?
Well, I mean, you could think of it like that. Like, yeah, they won 3 games in a row, but at the same time, they're also coming off of a 5-game slugfest that probably rattled them a lot more than they expected. So I think it's just probably balanced out, and you know, we're not really thinking of that kind of psychology. We're just focusing on ourselves mostly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose really with the off week had and being able to watch the other games and reflect on things, what was the major focus in the week's practice leading up to this moment?
Just you know, fixing some of the holes we felt we had, and ensuring that we had a lot of tools. Not sure what else I can say. Sorry.
Yeah, no, understandable. I mean, the final point I was going to mention is that this series has been hyped up a fair bit of beef on Twitter, sort of talking about, you know, egos and how close this one was going to come out. We heard from the players before, both Violet and Gunkrab, saying, yeah, it's going to be a clean throw from both of us. From your own state, how do you see the series playing out? Do you think it's going to go to distance like last night?
No, I have to stick with my players, man. I have to say we're going to 3-0. It's the only way.
He's not going to fall for it. Hey, Farmer, appreciate your time as always, mate. Wish you boys the best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
Right, Jubes.
I respect it. I mean, I respect sticking with the players, right? You're the head of the team, so got to lead by example. Not much has happened in this early game since you've been on the interview. The first clash that we're going to see is for this crab.
Seems to be. Both got double buffs, full clear taking place here, but Oni's already getting quite aggressive with it. Leeson looking for the hunt. He's gone invisible. There's the Lantern to safety. Down the bot lane he goes. And a wave that's already crashing there as well. And all of the fact that Shock was unleashed from mid lane to assist should mean that bot crab goes towards him. And I start to wonder now, will this be a double crab?
Yeah, well, it looks like it, right? I mean, Babip's just doing the Krug, so he's not going to have enough time to cross top and get to that. The thing that Direwolves need to be careful of, though, is their current lane state bot side, because it is a flash play angle from Aladoric. And I mean, you know, if you just burn the Summoners of Direwolves, that's a huge win, because the next time around, the Viego's just going to almost guarantee stun into the gank. So I think Direwolves have kind of caught on to this. They know Only is going to par the way, so they're letting the lane come towards them now.
Speaking of Only, he's already crashing out that wave as Tally's going to hold on for his teleport for the meantime, not willing to burn it just yet, so a few waves going to crash on in. It's a two-man knock-up as Cupcake gets aggressive about it, procs the Guardian, and comes out better for wear.
That's a good trade. That's a good trade for the Direwolves, right? You know, there's no pot left for Violet. He has no flash, so I dare say, you know, the next time that lands, could be in a little bit of trouble.
Will there be any trouble on top lane? Because there will be the double crab there picked up. Only going to go for the first reset. Looking to try and match the tempo here of Babip, who went for the Krugs, went back and picked up a Sheen.
Oh,
there is the Lantern there. As the two-man flay cleanse has to come out here as a disengage away from Guncrab's belt. Bit of anxiety for them.
Yeah, so we didn't see it, but obviously the hook would have landed right onto Guncrab, and that's where a majority of the damage came on through. So Cleanse being burnt is a pretty big deal, but also, you know, the shorter of the summoner spells, so it should be up, or will be up quite soon. He just needs to play safe for the remainder of that Cleanse being down. But, you know, maybe this is the time where Babip parts bot side, Wave Cup bounces back towards Peace, and you just burn those cooldowns to try and secure the kill. So we'll see if, you know, Babip decides to do that now.
Will be interesting. As far as these playoffs have been concerned, both Aladoric and Babip hold the majority of the kill participation, up there in the 82%. So certainly a lane where they can look to try and do it. A Lantern once again bringing the Viego in, allowing him to then try and find an easy stun bit from the Mistral out. And try and shut down a very immobile AD carry, even just to get the flash away. Translate that into a very early Dragon, as you can obviously see the pings going on through.
And the nice thing about this draft for Peace is that they have a bit of a nothing matchup topside, because there's never really any threat of Appy. He has the phase rush, and he kind of denies half of Set's kit, if not all of Set's kit, when he procs that.
Yeah.
So he's able to just play this lane kind of as freely as he wants. There's not much of a gank threat, and he's going to have complete vision control topside when he chooses to do things like he's doing now. And there might even be a bit of a skirmy in the mid lane.
Could be. Wonder if we will get any action in the top side, given the fact that he's already picked up 2 cloth armors for this set, and we know how strong he can be with the grit as well, so make it a little bit harder for Peace to turn their attention there. So it might be a bit of a nothing matchup, as you say.
Yeah.
We're going to try and scale on through and look to find a TP angle. Both have level 6 now, so certainly could look to put up a bit of a fight towards this very first Drake, but it's already gone back into the 1v1. The support laners have, well, I should say, the supports have been unleashed from their laners, looking to try and lay down some vision and mark their presence to achieve that first blood.
But the nothing, I guess the nothing statement that I stopped myself from saying because there was going to be like a skirm in the mid lane was that the nothing matchup suits Jace, because Jace is inevitably going to be able to get the items, hit the 2-3 item scale, and then look to fight objectives, right? Whereas like Set is going to continuously slowly lose this matchup. Like it isn't going to get better at a certain point, right? It's not going to get better when he gets a Bramble. The Jace is going to get stronger, and if the CS lead keeps growing, then the advantage keeps growing. And so you're in this position where all Peace need to do now is put all their eggs in bot side basket. So then the game becomes harder for Gunkrab and Cupcake to play. So it's like this inevitability of you have one side that you really don't need to focus on. And I think that's the beauty about the draft for Peace. And that's kind of where they're going to have a little bit of ease of execution, or there's not going to be too much to think about.
On the flip side then, I wonder what it does mean for Direwolves if they're going to try and flip the map and force a fight clear with the Herald spawning in just under 20 seconds now.
Oh.
There's another hook. Very close now to level 6s. Flashes have to be burned. That's double sums now. Take it away from Gunkrab. Knight was also used. Fair bit of damage. Moonlight Vigil with the right setup. Sniper and Chakrams, and now he is very close to being punished, but Babip is topside.
Yeah, Aladori's got Heat Seekers on at the moment, that's for sure.
Careful
Merc yeah, Merc Tread's on TF though, like on Tally at the moment. He just, the CC doesn't exist anymore. Might be an early Rift Herald though, and again, this is kind of what Jace allows you to do, right? Like, you have no agency topside. You know, it's not even like Claire's fault in particular, it's just the nature of the matchup that they picked.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's already down 30 CS or 25, about to be down a Rift Herald, probably going to fall down a turret plate, and, you know, this Rift Herald may even just be placed topside. Like, so far, I mean, obviously not much has happened. It's a 0-0 game, but so far, the current game state is extremely favorable for Peace.
Yeah, and I think you're really as clear right now saying, when are we going for Dragon? When are we forced to fight? I really want a TP showstopper, lock somebody in place and say that I can return back to the lane now and play a little bit more aggressively, as opposed to the soft losing state that you highlight, because this is a dream really for Jace, up by, well, soon to be 30 CS, well on his way to getting that Eclipse complete and having order sustained to try and meet the trades that Claire might present him with.
And funnily enough, too, this is going to sound silly. Obviously, First Blood is nice, and it's going, if it goes to only, like, he'll be able to, I guess, do a little bit with that gold. But killing the Jace here, if they do, in a best case scenario, it doesn't do much, right? Like, it doesn't do much for the matchup. It's kind of like a nothing death, because he's still going to be able to push Claire on the tower, still going to be able to play for plates, and still going to inevitably scale. So we'll see what happens here.
They can jump in and then look for the knock-up afterwards, but just out of range. Would have to overextend himself to try and find that one. It really wouldn't do too much because Gunkrab is now feeling the wrath of this bot lane. Yes, he's you know, similar with the CS. Yes, he has the cleanse, but he doesn't have a flash. We've already talked about how Aladoric has been a bit of a master, a bit of a heat seeker with those death sentences. This one won't connect, but it was on point to go for it. It will be summoned, and it won't completely take out that turret, and it might just fall on down, but it won't. Gonna get some plates elsewhere, mid lane, that's where the action is right now. Tally flashing away. And, well, having to burn double sums, but maybe that Merc Tread tenacity was just enough.
Damn, I thought they were going to get that Rift Herald before the charge. That would have been huge news for Direwolves, but he wasn't able to do that. But they did get a little win mid lane. They burnt both Tally Summoners, and Shock's actually picking up a few plates for himself. So we've got to keep our eyes, we've got to do our tab checks on Shock because he's kind of been a quiet achiever, right?
Yeah.
He's already got, what, almost 3 plates. Bit of a cheeky CS lead, and I guess if there's one guy that will be able to match this Jace later on, it is going to be Shock on this rise. But again, we have to take stock of, you know, it's not going to be a 1v1. You know, Peace would be silly to let that happen. They have the Twisted Fate. It is always going to be a 1v2, so it's going to be a headache or a question for Direwolves to figure out the answer to.
Yeah, I mean, he's up CS, he's up with plates, he hasn't opted for the boots just yet. He's actually rushed the tier to try and get himself that power spike that much earlier. But in terms of what's now available for him, right? The fact that you've taken double summoners away from the Twisted Fate, his Destiny can't now be used as aggressively as they would have hoped for. Does open up the map here for Shock to try and do the same with his own Realm Warp. Where that play will come from, we're yet to wait and see, because as far as objectives are concerned, that was now Direwolves picking up a dragon, so just trading opposite ends of the map.
And I think for me, this is where the biggest improvement for Direwolves has been building into their success in the later end of the season. It's the fact that they've been able to keep Shock safe. I mean, this is the 2nd or 3rd time now where Aladoric has found the timing to roam the mid lane, but it's just been over vision. It's been, you know, it's been Shock remaining relatively safe, while generating a CS lead. So, you know, for me, if they can keep mid lane stable and keep Shock in a point of power, you feel like Direwolves are just always in with a chance, no matter what.
See what they can do. There's another Rise game we mentioned before. It's the most played here for Split 2. Phenomenal player on it, and has really been successful in terms of putting attention not only in his own lane to get ahead, but also then allowing the rest of the team to share in that wealth. Time and time again, multiple members hop inside that realm, will pop their head into, say, top lane and find kills as a result. We saw Telly use it really efficiently last night too. Find picks, try and run a bit of tempo. Speaking of, Appy with that item spike, with the Eclipse, is just really blowing wide open this CS gap. Now up by 40 and well on his way to try and get that first turret.
And this was their answer to Jace too. You know what I mean? Like, they saw the Jace pick, they had to pick something, and this was the best that they could do. You know, even if you win or lose this game, I feel like it's a back to the drawing board. What do we do next? Do we leave Jace open? Do we have a better pick for it? Because as it currently stands, I mean, you don't want to be in this deficit no matter what.
And this is our talking point, right? The fact that we're wondering, you know, what would Claire play? Because I do feel like, honestly, that Appy can exploit that that champion pool on display. You know, you ban away the Camille to Renekton. You are a red-sided, red-favored side team. You ban that away from yourself and said, well, we just can't risk them picking it up. But clearly opted for this to go for those, you know, those latter team fights. Just sacrifice in the early game.
And he's looked pretty good on the Gnar, but I mean, you just get countered by the Jace. So it's not even, he can't even pick that. It's not even an option because, you know, if the set matchup is tough, then he's going to lose the Gnar one too. And, you know, Appy looking quite proficient and good on this champion as well. So I guess it's a little bit of a headache that needs to be answered. Obviously, can't answer it now in this game. You've got to make do with the tools that you have. Obviously, Set coming to a group, coming to a team fight is still going to be able to provide that CC, provide the, I guess, tankiness, if you will.
Yeah.
So, you know, hope that's what they're hoping for. Maybe they can get that 5v5, but it's just an organic gold lead at the moment.
Certainly is. They will have themselves that double displacement, though, with the Set as well as the Lee Sin, if they can find themselves that pick target and look to try and separate them from the pack. But it is an idea. That is a potential opportunity as the arrow not connecting to mid lane, but Shock is putting in so much work now individually himself, now up by 30 CS and well on his way to try and getting that first blood on the first turret.
Yeah, I mean, what does he do here?
Oh, okay. The flash slow stopper into the tower, but there's still minions in the way, so the aggro doesn't go anywhere because Appy doesn't tag him. So whilst it looks nice, it doesn't really amount for too much. Here comes on, his Sonic Wave does connect. He's been knocked back in hammer form, looking for the Dragon's Rage to try and execute, but it wouldn't have been enough, I don't think. Realm Warp brings them in. Bit of a nothing gank, but some summoners double flash burnt in top lane.
Yeah, maybe flash. I'm not sure what he flashed away from there. Maybe I thought he could have used the Viego ultimate, but probably needed that little bit of extra distance. Obviously got to trust him on that one. And that's a pretty good proactive play from Direwolves, right? You know, we talk about the first Twisted Fate ultimate being important to actually influencing Summoner's Rift or getting something done. But I mean, that's just a wasted ult. And I mean, it looks like it's going to be mid-turret that falls here first. Well, not first, but it's going to fall inevitably. And that's a pretty big win for Direwolves because this mid lane turret being down is going to stop Kali from, you know, being able to do things with this Twisted Fate. Yeah. He's probably going to go sit in a side lane now anyway, and it'll be the duo mid. But, I mean, in terms of map control, Direwolves are going to be able to put their vision that little bit further. They have that turret to fall back to for safety, and Peace do not. So it creates that kind of, that mind game, or that, you know, how far can we go up mid lane before we get run warped behind? So,
yeah. You can already start to see them putting their aggression, putting their vision up a little bit more aggressively across that line. Out goes the arrow again, it misses the second time. The quickness is there, Cupcake looking for a charm, can dash on through, not going to find it. Locked in place by Aladoric, who knows that champion far too well. A flash away from a gold card as the Peace looking to try and counter-engage. There's a knock-up that's not going to be found as Bebek does become the Rakan. The first blood is there. Oh, Aladoric, the flash death sentence, and now Guncrab without a flash, without a cleanse, will fall on down for an easy 2-picking.
I mean, they just got outplayed by a gold card.
Yeah.
Like, it's as simple as that. The gold card came through onto the Rakan. You got to know to when it's time to back off. Tried to go forward. It was almost like a, what is it, sunk cost fallacy, you know? He already used the Rakan ultimate. He's like, well, if I've used it, I may as well go in. And pays for it with his life. Following by Guncrab and hold the thought.
Oh, that thought indeed, because now Direwolves looking to try and answer back, deploying quickly. Showstopper once again on towards Tally. Can they try and get him individually? They can't find it. He's got a Lantern. 2 members from Peace. So fragile, so low, but will not fall on down. Frustration here for Direwolves.
Oh, wow.
They are hunting, but they're not going to be able to even that kill score just yet.
That is an absolute tilter. I mean, there's no way you can watch how that played out or saw that whole interaction and not be a little bit upset about that. You know, they will get the dragon, so that is kind of, you know, like the consolation prize, which is a nice one, for sure, the Infernal Dragon, but this whole passage of play here, right, followed by Miss Arrow into a gold card on the Rakano, and then here, it's like, you just call the play off, right? You call the play off, you live to fight another day, possibly just give away the dragon. But they ran forward, and they paid for it with a few more lives. And it's just really good team fighting from Peace. You know, they were able to disengage, kite it out, land the abilities like so, and just well executed.
I mean, that's just frustration, really, for the bot lane of Direwolves, right? The fact that the arrow goes out, doesn't connect in, that Cupcake can't even actually allow the ultimate to find any success. Didn't want to burn his flash to try and connect on to 4 people. And ultimately, Aladoric outplayed him a treat. So the last couple of minutes there for Direwolves, a little bit scary. The first little glimpse into how these fights could play out. Saving grace, as you said, a silver medal in all of this will be the fact that they've now got themselves 2 dragons. But hold that thought for 2 seconds. Destiny comes through into the mid lane. Claire seems to be the focus. A 3-man play. Aladoric once again. The box gets dropped. Slows down the aggression that Direwolves are hunting for. Everyone shock. Rise.
Oh, wow.
Find it again. How low are these members? How far do Peace have to go?
He lived again.
To survive in these games. It is unbelievable here, Juice. They've managed to find a pick. It was Appy on the flank that's taking down Gunkrab again, 0-2. Lantern to disengage away from only safeguard safety. Dives are still keen to make it happen. Unfortunately, went for the flash forward. Not going to find anything now. He's vulnerable. Might just get collapsed upon. As a result, there's the ultimate going to go into golden form for a second. Showstopper to try and disengage. Cupcake might just get out. Claire will look to try and do whatever he can in the meantime. Doesn't have the haymaker. The grit's already been burnt. But there's Shock re-engaging. Take down this Viego. How many lives do Peace have? The feline power. 9 lives. But they still do survive.
I mean, that looked like such a good fight for Peace, but they actually stacked and gave Shock so much value on this Rise. And it feels like, in terms of execution, Peace are just out-marcoing their opponents. Like, as simple as that, right? Like, Direwolves are just missing their abilities. You know, Peace are just stepping out of the way of the Rakan knock-up, you know, time and time again. It's a 3-man Everfrost here by Twisted Fate into a 3-man play into the box. So, and then on the back end here, Shock, the most fed member of Direwolves, gets kited off by Tally, and that's Shock not doing any damage in the team fight. Like, have a look at this. Like, they're gone. See you later. Sayonara. And so they're fighting this one 2v4 until they decide to pop their head back into the team fight. And I mean, even here, they get outplayed. Cupcake misses the knock-up again. And then Shock kind of gets forgotten about. And it's just bounce after bounce that provides so much value and ultimately turns this skirmish around.
And Claire had to be a hero, right?
Yeah, he did.
It's the only reason you play Set into a losing match. He says, look, I'm going to die for the sins. Can we try and find a trade from this one? But the fact that Peace continue to disengage away from so low, I mean, those are those 50-50 plays that we highlighted that Peace are so good at.
Man, that's... I feel like Tally has illegally lived a few times this game. Like, in terms of the Summoner's Code, it's illegal. But here we are. We're in a scenario where he's 0-0-3. He's down quite a bit of farm, but that's being reciprocated topside. But I mean, the gold lead's nothing to write home about, right? Like, obviously, favorable game state for the side of the cleanse. Yep. But you take those, right? Because the arrow is on a shorter cooldown than the cleanse. So next time around, Violet is looking like a snack.
Really is. Crazy game so far. Aladoric really putting on a number, showcasing a bit of a support gap to open up the first 20 minutes, the first bit of passage of play here. And it feels to me, Juves, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like the first game really, for the most part, this playoffs has set the tone for how the series is going to play out. The first game always feels so close. A bit of a fiesta. Fireworks coming on through, and then the second and third game, really the team had to dig deep, not only mentally, but also with their draft and adaptations.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually a firm believer in like match fitness, right? I feel like Peace got to play 5 games yesterday, so they're a little more match fit in terms of playoffs and dealing with the nerves and everything that comes with it than Direwolves are. You know, they've had some time off to think about it, and sometimes it just takes a few minutes to kind of get get into the swing of things, right? It's high level. You're versing good opponents, so you can't just kind of come in, you know, cold, if you will. So I expect, you know, Direwolves to get better as this series goes on. But, you know, at least traditionally, when you see a series, it does feel like the team that played the day before, the team with the most games in the gauntlet or in the run, you know, they start off better.
Strong start here could really be fitting for how the series does play out. There's the arrow once again, this time on towards the Fresh. There's the volley, locking in place multiple members. There's a two-man play. Zappy finds the first kill, takes up Cupcake, not before a response from Shock to take out the Jace. Can he cycle through the QWE? Can Rise get himself that point of power? He's got the Everfrost, he's got himself the completed Archangels. That's a lot of damage with 5 stacks on the Dark Seal too. The Dragon is there, Juice, as you highlight. Direwolves already in the river. They're going to start things up here.
Yeah, Shock's a bit of a problem this game, if I'm being completely honest. It feels like in these team fights, he's a little too impactful, and he's actually spacing and positioned correctly so that there's no danger in him getting killed. Like, he hasn't had to burn the flash, but in terms of the damage that he's able to output, it's a little hard to match at the moment, and you have to say it's a little concerning for Peace, particularly with the lead that they have. What I'd like Peace to do is actually just calm down, right? Like, it's a bit of a chaotic game. Put Appy in a side lane and just port to that lane, because look at the items that he has. He has a completed Murumana. Talia has the rapid fire cannon. I mean, it should just be as simple as taking down the one item set in a side lane. Doesn't have Merc Treads as well. I think they just need to kind of fall back onto what their draft actually does and their identity as a team, because, you know, they're just ramming heads in the mid lane at the moment, and we touched on before, the team with the Ashe, the team with the Rakan, probably going to fare a little bit better in terms of just the head ram 5v5 in the mid lane, right? Whereas Peace probably want to deny vision a little more, land the hooks, go off Aladoric instead of just meeting somewhere in the middle and letting Ashe fire arrows.
Yeah, I agree. I think for them, they're really looking to try and find fights in the jungle, looking to try and find picks, right? But it's becoming a little bit harder, given the fact that Ashe obviously has the hawk shot to try and scout out those options, which is exactly what Peace excel at. Playing on a control ward in that bot side river, but bit of a concern the fact that Direwolves, despite being down 4k in the grand scheme of things, have managed to pick up 3 consecutive dragons, soon to play for a soul point. Peace yet to really put up a contest as to going towards that. But here's the Destiny once again. The focus is the Rakan. Cupcake in trouble, being locked in place, death sentence play, and he's dead.
I mean, they use the TF ulti extremely well to find that pick, and looks like they're going to go to the Baron and kind of bait this one and see if they can force Direwolves to at least face check, because losing Rakan here is a big component of your draft and does hurt your team fighting capabilities. So we'll see how Direwolves play this one out.
Khan's so good at the counter engage, retake of an important objective such as the Baron. Appy given enough time. Looks to land a fair bit of poke. Rapid fire cannon is dead. Outlocks in place the gold card. Easy follow up there for Aladoric. The focus is clear. He's got himself a big shield. He's waiting for the Moonlight Vigil. It's already been burnt. He just waits. And he feels happy enough to just run it back to base. Baron has been stopped. Now Aladoric might be picked apart. The flash! Dragon's Rage. Lock him in place. Lock it will be propped. It doesn't need to matter. Shock on the flank. 1v1. Actually 1v2. Just runs away from Violet. In the face of danger, he says, I'm better than you.
Well, this might be Baron. Shock has teleport. He can TP back into this play on full health. Claire's running down now. Maybe this Baron is a little too early to start. Look at the damage from Appy.
Yeah, they had to turn on to him. The 50-50 would feel far too risky at this stage of the game. The TP's coming in. That is Shock looking to try and turn things around. Looking for that Rune Prism onto a key target. The Baron is still engaged for the most part. Claire on the flank has that showstopper, looking to find himself that ideal pick target. But Appy is bullying him. That's what it looks like when you're up by 70 CS individually. Knocks Claire into the pit. The Baron is down to half. Violet locking in place multiple members of the Graviton. He doesn't have that Moonlight Vigil, but it might not even matter because the damage from this Jace is just far too much. The Baron spitting hot fire takes down multiple members. And for the second time, the Baron will despawn.
Okay, this is absolute chaos. It does feel like we're going to get some time to breathe. Both teams are going to take the gentleman's reset, figure this one out on another day, because I mean, Direwolves are on soul point, so it feels like they don't need to force those plays on that Baron. I mean, if you have the Rise, you know what? They're forcing again. Hook!
Oh, that hook, Aladoric! A hero when you need one. They've taken out the most fed member. The beacon of light here for Direwolves in game number 1. Maybe this time they're feeling far more confident with the numbers, with the chance to force out this play. There's the hawk shot, gives them a bit of vision for the meantime. Down to 40%, getting lower. Aladoric across the wall, hunting out key targets, denying that smite still. Only's not even in the area. Third time's a charm. Please get Baron.
There's a lot to break down. I'm sure we'll go to replay and we can walk through it because it was pretty chaotic. It was Peace finding a pick onto Cupcake, starting the Baron, getting kited by the Ashe and the Rise, finding a few picks, and as we see this here, I mean, they took so much damage from Appy and Violet. They kind of got, well, they had no choice really. If they were committing for this steal, they have to go back a pit. The Rise TP creates a little bit of space, but here is where I think there's a breakdown in communication because Claire looks for the fight. They are remaining on the Baron. Even here, no one goes over the wall there to kill Appy. They have a Lee Sin, they have a Rakan. They can take Appy for there for free and then potentially go back to the Baron. But instead, they're just kind of all fighting their individual battles. No one really being decisive, and they're made to pay with it. They lose the Baron, and, there's a sole point here, Skimmy. So what do? Do they fight it, or...?
I mean, I think the idea was really good from Claire, but just as you say, mis-executed, right? He was looking to try and say, you keep them locked in place. Oh. I'll turn around with a massive showstopper, bring them to you. Silver platter. Back to live. Peace have the Baron, but they've started up this Dragon. And with no lanes, no side lanes at least being played towards, Zywolf seem to be all in here for a contest. Yeah, but it's tough to contest into a Jace, right? This is where Jace really shines. Look at all the poke that he's getting down. Rakan's on the flank, though. He is on the flank right now, has no vision on towards him. A one-man knock-up straight away onto Violet. He's stepping on that lantern, making it very difficult for him to run away from. He doesn't even need to. He just stands strong and delivers. Now to focus on to Claire, the showstopper, bringing Babbitt into the team, trying to prevent those resets. Yes, the ult away to safety. Claire now getting run down by Nephilios and a Jace. This is a little bit too much to do. Oh, the flash fall with the death sentence won't connect. The bot lane from Peace trying to smurf. In comes the Destiny, the gold card, the follow-up, the damage from Peace. They're having a whole bunch of fun with this one. And now Gunkrab is 1-4. Yeah, I mean, Gunkrab's 1-4, but it's, when you have a Jace that's coming out of lane with a 60 CS lead and a TF on porting on top of your head, it's a little bit tough to play when you're playing this Ashe as well, right? Like, there's no Pure in this team to help him out. At least the way that the game's being played, he's kind of just been left on his own or in isolation. Maybe a little bit of disrespect with the Twisted Fate pick as well. I feel like Tally's found some really good angles in this game, really good use of the Destiny to find those picks, and looks like they're going to pick up the first inhibitor of the game at 28 minutes. Certainly seems to be the way. Baron still has 30 seconds left on this one at the 30-minute mark, so they might just play this one out quite slowly. They put a fair bit of work in towards that in here, but it will stand strong for the meantime. We're seeing two very big Jace games, right, in 2 days. Maximize playing the Jace extremely well yesterday, and Appy doing the exact same thing. I mean, these Shock Blasts are finding a home time and time again, and they're finding a home on the backline. I mean, Gunkrab last fight started on half health. So each time this Jace pretty much accelerated Shock Blast, your fight's as good as one, especially if it hits. Yeah. And this is the problem that they're having now. And again, I think this is the problem that they can maybe address in draft, because I don't think this game has come down to a personnel issue, or at least, or you hate to see that, but it hasn't come down to, a player in particular being outclassed, right? Or, you've gotten outplayed a few times in skirmishes for sure, but you feel like your job could be made a little easier in the draft. And just look at this total graph here, right? Yeah. It's really the Shock show. 4 members from the opposite side below him, and he's saying, if I die, our chances are as good as gone. He's rushed himself to Rabadon since the third completed item, now well on his way to getting that Void Staff. I mean, at this state, you're starting to think, this is a nearly full item Rise. Look, Shock's been fantastic. He has been... Oh. Can they turn things around? Yes, they can. It's a nice little pick. Yeah. Bit of vision found there. Babbitt punting in the wrong neck of the woods. The box getting dropped very early as the rest of Peace 4 members the Realm down a top turret. Well, they're going to try and find themselves that angle, but not going to connect on it just Cupcake's got flash. They are still on that rotate. Cupcake has flash, has the ulti, popping the ulti right now. Got themselves that moving speed. Bonus! Locked in place again by Aladoric, but won't fall for it. 4v5. Direwolves are being pushed back. Oh, nice knock-up. Nice knock-up on Tally. Cupcake still lives once again. Appy jumps in, hammer form takes him down. No Shock survives. Now Appy running away into Tribrush, but does get pinced and does get taken down by only hit the flash to try and secure that one. The focus shifts now on towards Claire. A double kill for Tally, who TP'd in quite aggressively, but is able to stand strong and survive. Yeah, I thought, a little bit of an aggressive play there. Maybe he was going to be the one to fall down, but he ends up surviving on the back end, and it's just kills traded, right? Those kills don't necessarily mean anything. Like, they're pretty, they're nice for the KDA, a little bit of income. But I mean, the next fight that we're going to see really blow this game open, either end this game for Peace or give Direwolves a lifeline, is going to be this next Baron.
you know, it's a nice pick that they found onto Babbitt before this one, but again, chasing into this composition with the Flay, with the Jace Gates, with the gold cards, it's just a little bit too hard. I mean, your Rakan is just permanently getting gold carded, kept at a range, and then from here, it's pretty rudimentary. Like, the damage coming out of Appy ends up falling down, but he does just enough to turn the tides for his team, and they can clean up while Direwolves retreat. But it does feel like, Skimmy, although there's a big gold lead, there's a substantial gold lead, it feels like with this Rise, if they can find the right angle, it's a winnable fight. I don't know, it's just it's crazy to say, but the damage that Shock is doing, full build on this Rise, 8 Dark Seal stacks, a little bit nutty at the moment.
I mean, you can never discount a 300 CS Rise, right? I mean, he's really saying, we're down 8k, but I, on my own, if you can all bait and peel for me, I can cycle through enough of these cooldowns that I might just be able to put on a bit of a clinic and try and carry it across the line. The arrow goes out again. It doesn't connect much like the very first one. The gold card is suspected with some of the cleanse. But then Violet flashing forward, looking to try and single-handedly take out his old teammate. There's the Dragon's Rage, not going to in place. The hook to try and take out Shock. But then he does fall on down. A 1-for-1 trade clear for Philios. Seems to matter right now. As Peace are still looking to push aggressively. They found 2. Player's already gone. A knock up under 2 to disengage away from Direwolves. Appy very low. But they're just picking people apart one by one, cycling through the cooldowns themselves, and returning to the scene of the crime to this time remove that inhibitor.
This might be game. They actually might be able to end here. Twisted Fate, a lot of damage to turrets, have the Jace as well.
No shock, no fun, seems to be the motto here.
Yep.
They've taken down 2 of those Nexus turrets. The Nexus itself is now exposed, and at 33 minutes in, Peace is saying we're more experienced, we're warmed up and ready. Game 1 looks to be ours.
Yeah, and that is game 1 going over a little bit of KDA farming here. Tally hasn't died. The perfect game. Coming out in 180p, but nevertheless, it's a very good win for Peace. And I mean, it does feel like, again, one of those scenarios where are they just warm? Are they coming into this series warm? Are they coming in with a lot of confidence? Because they did trump order in those 5 games, but it did feel eerily similar to the style and the pace and the way that they played yesterday, right? Agreed. You know, those side lane type drafts, really being able to use the Destiny to find those picks, playing through Appy, who's going to be a strong point, and Violet just sitting there 10 CS per minute, no dramas at all, happy to come group and team fight when he's pleased.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Mac, for me, you're looking at it as a game where 2 mid laners are looking to really unlock the map. See the perfect game. I mean, despite Shock falling on down a few times, he was individually having a bit of a perfect game.
Yeah, he was playing really, really well. I unfortunately, unfortunate for them and unfortunate for me, because I looked at the predictions and it is Direwolves that Twitch chat predicted. Now, I feel unhappy because if I do get Direwolves, I don't get the 3-0 because they already lost the map. So that's all I'm saying. I was putting that out there early, saying Twitch chat, I'm already disappointed in you. Because now we can't get my perfect predictions. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The game, though, did matter. And there were a few points where things could have gone their way. This was one of them, trying to sneak that Bazza. But unfortunately, Bazza said, nah, mate, nah. And took out a fair few of the champs there, aided by Peace coming through. And it was, from about that point, it seemed like it was really that turning point where Peace just really needed to get things going. They managed to stop the Soul from coming in too early, and then things just went all the way of Peace. So you guys were talking about match fitness during the game. I'm definitely a big believer in the old match fitness. The more you play, obviously, the more consistent you can be. The argument as well is obviously Direwolves have been playing all week. They've also been playing the old solo queue, scrims, etc. But it's not the stage games. So I guess the question is, like, what's the difference, Juice? Because you've been on both sides. Look,
to be honest with you, the difference is just dealing with the nerves, and it's just a different feel. It's something you can't explain unless you play like a competitive game. But particularly in the best of 5s, you know, when you lose a game like this as the Direwolves, it's actually a bit of a confidence boost. Yeah. Because you come into the game not knowing. Is this all these anomalies that you have no idea about, right? We can see the champions, the damage, the stats coming on through here with this graphic, but there's so much you don't know. And when you lose a game that feels very winnable, this is a game where I can guarantee you Direwolves thought, yeah, this was so winnable. We made a mistake at the Baron. They actually go back to the room. They do a bit of analysis and they say, yeah, a few tweaks here and there. I mean, we're meant to be here. This is a winnable series, boys. Like, let's fire up and get amongst it. So I think for both teams, this match was a good one, a very good feeling out one, and we're in for a banger.
I think for me, Mac, it was just a huge support support gap. The fact that you're picking Rakan away from Aladoric and he's picking up Fresh, which also Cupcake is very proficient at, but saying you've got themselves, a quote-unquote easier way to engage, right?
Whoa.
I'm actually just able to outplay you with point-and-click stuns and all the rest of it. It's crazy.
Hold the phone. Did Thresh just win a game?
It happens.
Whoa.
Sometimes.
Is this the 1% we've been waiting for? The curse has been lifted, and all it took was Aladoric to pick the thing up.
Well, Lee Sin lost again.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Lee Sin is just cursed. I don't know. I mean, that just looked like the biggest support gap I've ever seen right now. And the fact that Claire got bullied that hard, where Jace can rock up to a team fight and say, we have Aphelios, we have Jace. If you ever go for a 50-50 like this, we can hit one shot glass, one Moonlight Vigil, and you're just out of the fight. I mean, for me, it's just... It looked like, as you said, Jubes, a lot of comfort, a lot of warmed up nature from Peace, but for Direwolves, it was all on board the shock hype train. As soon as he fell on down, it's like, all right, we're focusing on game 2.
So even though he is the king of mid, is he going to be able to back it up in the next couple of games and carry the boys to victory, or at least rally them around himself? However, we are going to be finding that out shortly. For now, it's time for a break. Don't go too far. We'll see you just after this.
Aladoric might be picked apart. The flash! Dragon's Rage, lock him in place. Lock will be proc, it doesn't need to matter. Shock on the flank, 1v1, actually 1v2. Just runs away. Card is suspected from some of their clans. But then Violet flashing forward, looking to try and single-handedly take out his old teammate. There's the Dragon's Rage, looking in place. The hook to try and take out Shock, but he does fall on down. A 1-for-1 trade, clear for Aphelios. Doesn't matter right now. And Peace are still looking to push aggressively. They found 2. Player's already gone. A knock of under 2 to disengage away to dive.
There I go again, breaking your heart, left in the dark, 2 worlds apart. There I go again, stuck in the streets. I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. I know you're feeling up with pain, cause I'm stuck in this game and there's no one else to blame except myself. It's strange and I cannot feel the pain. Look, you wanted me to change and I know you can't stand the way you feel. So in the streets, I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. There I go again, try to get a Benz. You tell me that is more than life than selling. I can change for the money I'll get to. All I knew in life's rebelling in this way of life. There's no talent, especially if you guys commit violence. Some of them are locked, but that's some lesson.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoorDash LCO, where we currently are underway with this lower bracket final. It is the winner of this that makes their way up into the grand final. And look, so far, so damn good. Dire Wolves copping the L in game 1. However, Peace took the W, so they are going to be very happy. But the question is, you know, there's game 2 coming up, but is it game 2 or is it the 100th game this split of the DoorDash LCO? Woo! I reckon it's 100 bloody games. Get excited! 100 games this split so far, and we've got some more to see too. That's a lot of games, Nat.
It is. This is also a really... I was almost going to swear then. That's a really, really cool graphic. Absolutely no swear words in that at all. That's just one heckin' awesome graphic we got there. Props to the graphics guy.
That's really poke champ.
Poke champ. That's the pogest of the poke champs.
I'm poke champing really hard right now looking at this graphic. 100 games, fantastic. You ripper. And I'll tell you what.
So that's saying 100.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. All these people in chat with us on this journey here. Fantastic. Love to see it.
You really are in love with Twitch chat tonight.
Yeah.
He's going to find a bride by the end of the season, I'm telling you that much.
I am.
He's finally figured out exactly what he needs to do to sell out to the people, make the people love him, and then make his power moves forward in the League of Legends world. Huh?
If I can be brutally honest, I've always been a sellout, and everyone knows I'm a sellout. The highest bidder. Whatever.
You're taking going once, going twice, going 3 times for the 3 bits donated in chat. Thank you very much. Now, Nat, do you have any stats for us before we jump into the next game? Did you get any, or am I throwing you under the bus?
No, not really throwing me under the bus. Don't have too many interesting stats at the moment. It is only 1 game, but I do want to talk about, you know, we put a lot of emphasis on support coming into this matchup, but I think after watching that one with the draft and how it played out, I think a lot more attention needs to be paid on the top side. Like, I don't know what Appy's doing, man, but it is absolutely working for that team. Claire just doesn't really feel like, in a sense, he's a part of it, or maybe he's just not playing comfortably, like champ-wise. I'm not really sure what's on it, but I'd like to see what happens top side for this game.
Well, I'm not going to keep you waiting too much longer because Game 2's ready. Let's get into it. It's time for Champ Select.
Certainly is, Mac, and let's see what actually changes this time around in this game, because, well, Juves, it was a bit of a dominant performance in the end, ultimately there by Peace. There were a few moments where certainly Dire Wolves could have answered back. They took themselves those 50-50s, a few missed ultimates, a few missed moments, but ultimately Peace were able to close things out. So it doesn't look like in the initial ban phase here anything has changed. And Diego's just going to get locked in straight away.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're just going to take a Kali. That'd be an interesting one. We haven't seen a Kali for a while on patch 11.15, but looks like it's going to be the Rakan Lee Sin again. Yeah. And I feel, if I'm being completely honest, even using yesterday as a little bit of a sample, I feel like teams are taking a little bit too long in a best of 5 to pivot or to change one thing.
Sure.
Because you got to think it as like a domino effect. You change one thing, it influences the rest of the draft. But if you keep it at the exact same, you're going to inevitably find yourself in the same point of the draft where it faltered last time. As we can see, the exact same thing playing out. These are 2 identical picks. The third one isn't going to be an army, but it is going to be what you think is a twisted fate, right? So identical draft now. Now here is where Dire Wolves, I believe, faltered last time, and they've made a pivot. So this is fine. You like to see it, the Malphite into the Jace. Obviously not going to win this lane as the Malphite, but you're not going to lose either like the set was. And then when it comes to the R button, when it comes to starting the fight, you'll be able to go in first. And the problem that Cupcake was having as the Rakan is going to be minimized, because Malphite's in first, CC's been used on him, or they flashed, and that creates space for Cupcake to go in as a secondary and maybe find his way into the fight this time.
Yeah, I mean, you're very much wombo combo now, right? You're basically saying if you are going to lock in that fresh, we're going to make it a little bit easier now to try and find that moment of power. And they're going to swap things out again also in the mid lane. Despite, well, I mean, they have to, right, given the fact that Rice has been banned away, but they're going to be playing the sort of same standard method, which is farm up a Storm, look to add into the mix a fair bit of damage come that 15-20 minute mark. And I mean, if we can get ourselves a similar situation here for Shock, going to be a little bit easier, a little bit easier for him to try and find that damage to really, you know, run amok.
Yeah. Wonder what AD carry they're going to go with. Last picking AD carry into double ban. So it looks like Violet doesn't play Ashe, or just doesn't like Ashe. I mean, in this particular game, Ashe is tough because there's a Malphite who's probably going to RU every single time. So maybe this is kind of his thinking. Whereas the Xayah is a lot better into dive backline compositions. And I think this is where Xayah has a place in the meta, but finds a lot of value, right? If there's like more than one R button that can literally assassinate the AD, right? Do you think about it? The Malphite's there, the Rakan's there, Lee Sin's probably going to pop his head, as well as the Chaos Storm. But the Xayah ult can render the Malphite useless. Like, shoot as the Malphite ult misses, the feathers go down, rip it back, stuck in spot, and you just play that team fight front to back. So it makes sense. It makes sense, but again, we'll see what Direwolves answer. Probably the Ashe again.
The Ashe, the Sivir. We've been begging for the Sivir for such a long time, Juice, and we're finally going to get it. The ultimate on the hunt. Give yourself and your team a massive boost of mobility. And Ashe is now tenfold on what Direwolves are looking to try and do. Get in, get out, and guarantee that those kills can be found and that multiple members of Peace can't run away to safety despite being so low. So for the most part, Peace have picked the exact same. Direwolves have tweaked things a few. Despite the bans staying the same, they have answered the call here and said that you can go for a very aggressive bot lane. We feel a little bit more confident now to take the fight to you in the earlier portions of this match.
Well, you know, we don't have any idea about the conversation that goes on in between games, right, between the two teams. But what I gather from Direwolves, and this is just a pure guess, is that they said, yeah, we had one way to start the fight, which was the Rakan, and then we were kind of left in no man's land. And they said, well, how do we fix that? And they said, yeah, well, you know, it's looking like a decent Sivir angle. All right, we'll play Sivir. Yeah, Malphite's a good lane into the Jace too. I'll be able to do a lot better than the set. And I'll have the obvious R and go button too. So it feels like they've added these kind of pieces to what they felt were missing in game one. And so these, I guess, are tweaks and adaptations, which you like to see in a best of 5. Because Direwolves obviously feel very comfortable with what they drafted in a holistic sense in how they want to play the game. But then now they've just added these I guess, changes that make them feel a little more comfortable. Whereas Peace have just reacted to the Direwolves changes, right? And they said, yeah, well, you're tweaking it with a Malphite, we'll tweak it with a Xayah. Because we feel, you know, the skill check of the R, we're going to win that every single time with Violet. And that's kind of how it feels right now.
Yeah, Flash, Featherstorm, we feel like we're better than you. The rest of the composition is already working, and Alazoric now going to find himself perhaps a slightly easier way to be aggressive to follow up the ganks that Ababit and Telecan provides. I'm curious, though, because, you know, Direwolves, there was a world in which if they didn't need AD, that you could have picked some poke and the likes of a Ziggs or a Xerath or something, right, to try and keep this aggressive Beast squad at bay and look to try and, you know, wrestle someone control back, given that Jace got so big. But, I mean, it's going to be interesting now this time around to see that they have said, you know, team fight, that's where we think we can excel at. We want to take those fights once again, but we feel like we have now just that extra level of mobility to take us across that finishing line. Is there a particular lane that you look at and say, yeah, Direwolves should win now? Because you mentioned the top side before that, you know, Malphite is going to do the hottest, but should be a lot more relevant, say, than the set.
I still feel like in terms of being proactive on the map, that falls with Peace. They have the tools and the utility to really, and the lanes to make stuff happen. But, you know, we'll elaborate on that once we've done the coaches interview, because I know you've got a man waiting for you.
We certainly do. We have the man known as Draft Lord, aka Mid Lord, here on the line waiting to speak with me. And, mate, you know, congrats on the reverse sweep for last night. I want to touch on that really quickly before we get into this game. It was a very tough series. You know, it started off with the Yasuo and Diana combo causing you a lot of problems. What made you ban it come game 3?
Yes, that's true. Because did you remember the last day? Like I said, we don't ban it in second game because we have find a way to against that, but unfortunately that happened, and we do worse than our first game, so we just gonna ban it. If we can't beat it, just don't let it appear.
Yeah, and obviously had a couple of chances to try and take it down, but ultimately it seemed to be the recipe for success to get you back into things. We saw you adapt very well in that series, ultimately getting the win. Would there be a particular area that you would attribute that to? Would it be just player experience, or would you say it's more towards the draft itself?
Most important thing is player experience. Actually, they can
just
do
comes to the fact
many
they play so many games, or?
Yeah, in the game they can do some calls and make some fresh idea, and just make the game become better.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly got better, right? I mean, you're here today. I saw your tweet just before talking about draft gap. Tell me about this draft. I mean, you've made a few tweaks of your own, but it feels like Direwolves have had to make more changes. Does that concern you at all?
Yeah, because I think the draft, we have to do the best draft, like front back, pocket from back to camp, and it's like Virgo and TF's mid jungle is much stronger, and we have no way to lose top mid side, right? So I
Confidence
don't
is
know
always
why.
mid lord.
Like they just pick a Morphi top. This he can't do any better nailing phase than that. I don't know why they pick it. Maybe just for team fights, but actually we have a TF also good for team fights. Like
Yeah, no, I mean,
if we win the nailing
win
phase,
conditions to play towards.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if we win nailing phase, Morphi have no chance to have enough space to win or have enough tank in a team fight, right?
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
I
we
understand.
just
You
don't
know,
give them
strong early
space.
game, and you can probably close things out.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, Midlaw. Well, we'll leave it there, mate. The game's well underway. We'll let Jubes pick up the conversation. But I wish you boys the best of luck in this one.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, I do agree with Midlord in terms of how we break down the draft and where he sees their advantages lying, and in terms of, you know, where they win the mid jungle 2v2, they win the top jungle 2v2, and it does feel like that's the case in the early game, and they should be able to generate and create enough space in the early game to be able to, you know, close this one out quite convincingly. However, like obviously Direwolves do a very good job in remaining really safe, having Shock, you know, hit that 10 CS per minute mark, which is very important on these control majors, and inevitably, like if you have the Sivir and the Victor, you know, hit 3-4 items and you're not at too much of a deficit, I feel like almost draft at a certain point doesn't exist, right? Because the Chaos Storm's going to go down, the Ricochets are going to hit. So we'll have to see. But so far, top lane is it's going better for Claire in the CS department, but ooh, you do feel like if that lands,
that could have been a very easy first blood. I'm not going to lie. And I mean, as I was actually having a conversation with Midlord, I saw some very fancy feet from Aladoric, once again baiting out Cupcake for what could have been a cheeky 2v2 in the bot lane too.
Yeah, the heal went down though, right, to save his life, give him a little bit of extra mobility, but the bot lane is looking pretty volatile, and it's going to be Lethality Sivir by the looks of it, right? That build, the Lethality build with the Manamune, where it transforms into the Mirror Mana, and you just throw those boomerangs out, and it does do quite a lot of damage, but it's not your traditional, like, on-hit 500 CS win condition Sivir, right? So we need to keep our eyes on that one. Obviously, still going to get outranged by the Jace, but it is an answer to the Jace because you have the spell shield. So we'll have to see how this plays out around neutral objectives as well.
We certainly heard from Guncrab that it's going to be a 2-0, and then he's asking Violet to make the next move, but so far, so good. For Violet, put up a really strong performance with arguably the best bot lane combo with a Fresh and an Aphelios. So now game on, really, for Direwolves to find themselves a much stronger opening. You know, pretty much returning to that point that Midlaw mentioned, right? A strong early game should translate us into a point of power come those team fights where Direwolves look to try and equip themselves to. Are there any concerns about playing this? I wouldn't imagine, you know, you compare a Malphite and a Jace, hold that thought for 2 seconds, Cupcake jumps in with a last dash away! He lives! I'm not sure how much he had, 20 HP surely. But that will give now Peace the chance to pick up the first dragon. Also, a bit of action in mid lane as Shock hits level 6 first, the Chaos Storm goes out, but it won't secure a kill.
Well, that's your classic just ulting for pressure, right? I feel like this is a very underutilized, I guess, way of playing the game. A lot of mid laners or players in general, they just want to use the ult to secure the kill, or there's no value in using it, right? But in this particular case, use the ultimate to get control of the lane, you force the teleport like so, but you just generate priority, which allows you to either control one side of the map, or get a free reset, or just take control and maybe get a roam angle. So in this case, it's not going to be a roam, it's probably just going to be a reset, but it's a good way of playing the game. You know, you don't always have to get a kill with the ultimate. Ooh, he stayed though. That's a little bit greedy. Because now, if Kali decides to make a play off this wave, if he pushes this next wave in and looks for a play somewhere where it doesn't look like there's one available, you know, then Shock isn't able to follow. Like, he doesn't have enough mana to follow, so they won't get punished for it now, but just food for thought, I guess, you know, maybe if that happens again, if Shock tries to stay for another wave. But you lose priority, right? You start to lose your jungle, and I mean, it looks like they're going to contest this blue buff, so ultimately, cancelling that base, not teleporting, may just cost them that blue.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's the fact that, sure, Shock won't feel the real burden of that, but it's put a bit of pressure on towards Only instead.
Yeah.
He's had to smite that one away, feeling the burden that 4 members are coming towards him. Bot lane can't assist either, so bit of a cascading effect there, Juice.
Yeah, it's just a micro. It's like a micro advantage, right? It's not necessarily a big one by any means, but it's a nice one. You know, you don't have to lane against the Victor with a blue buff, so you're happy as that. You know, if you're Tally, and just moving there is what really stopped that one from happening. And here we go.
There's the first play of the game. Destiny goes topside, level 7 on the Twisted Fate. Tally looking for a gold card on towards Claire. There's still a flank. Only could look to try and protect him, so he's hung on to the unstoppable force. Not burnt the flash either. Just going to be fully back to the fountain and can TP back to the wave.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, he didn't use flash, he didn't use ulti. So it's a bit of a nothing play, right? I mean, he saw the angle, tried for it, whatever, didn't work out.
I think they were hunting for something, given the fact that the Herald is now just spawning. They were really hoping that they could burn a flash or an ulti. The fact that then Direwolves might not put up a fight for this, but Pisa started off the Herald now.
Yeah, I do think this is going to be a bit of a tough contest though, because Lee Sin does not have ult, Diego does, and here we go.
Oh, he's jumped in. Follow up so far, Appy in a fair bit of trouble, a flash away, but a flash to follow, Sonic Waves to execute and to take him down. First blood for Direwolves.
Yeah, and this is why the Malphite matchup is a lot better into the Jace, right? And a lot of times, you know, people do say that this is somewhat of an answer. They still get the Rip Herald, so net advantage, or in the bank at the very least, is on the side of Peace. But First Blood is always a good confidence boost, and someone on a player like Only to pick that one up, he's going to be able to use that gold and hold the thought for a second.
Shark in a bit of trouble. He's burnt that flash straight away, but the gold card's still connected. So worst case scenario for him. The trap goes down. The reset is found. Babbitt's Fury. The Chaos Storm is still there. One more tick, and perhaps an Ignite would have done it, but he's managed to hold on.
What's wild is that, you know, that turret hit looked like it was awfully close to hitting Babbitt. I feel like Babbitt was a whisker away from taking that tower hit, and then we trade 1-for-1 all of a sudden. So nice pick up there from Tally. Good roam from Aladoric, and well followed up by Babbitt. So they've traded the kill back. And again, I feel like we're in for another tense game. I mean, there's not much in it. You know, all lanes going relatively even. Yeah, Malphite having a much better time than the set. You know, he's probably the first time I've seen Claire in the laning phase actually play in a wave and be able to walk up. Appy has no flash, so he needs to actually play the game with a lot of respect now.
Certainly does, because there's definitely now a chance for a repeat gank to take place. Ultimate's not too far away from coming back on through. Only the red buff now still playing towards top side, but that crab is about to spawn, so he can reveal some vision, get tabs as to where Babip is. Not going to find him, but double control towards top side. Shock unleashed. He can look to try and do a double tap now on vision to find out where Babip is. Does still have that Herald. Would love to use it. Be zoned away from this play here, and that just gives a little bit more pressure towards Appy and allows Claire to step up.
Yeah, it looks like they're pinging for a dive onto the Jace, but Peace are doing a very good job.
That's a good read. What a collapse. All the way onto Cupcake. He's been surrounded from all sides. Frustration in the play came there, but Peace, it almost felt predictable, inevitable, and they were 10 steps ahead.
It's a tough play to make versus Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate creates these problems for you that you're not used to having or not used to playing against. Because, you know, you think that's a good play. You think you have priority. Jace under tower, but Twisted Fate still in the mid lane just says, oh, okay, you're contesting? Well, I'll be there in a hot minute. Ports in, and they just focus down the Rakan. And, yeah, like you said, it's been a bit of a rough series thus far for Cupcake. I mean, he's not really been able to find his rhythm or really find the engage.
Oh no, this could be catastrophic. The ultimate to try and run away. Here comes Zoe, making it 3v2. Beautiful Dragon's Rage into the turret. He goes golden, and they're going to switch the aggro onto Appy. Fantastic play from Pete. A flash forward, a seismic shot to execute him, because Claire don't miss. He's been angered. A gold card from the river to try and prevent Cupcake making a play like this. There's a knock-up, and it's a kill secure as Direwolves find a second.
That's a good counter gank there from Direwolves. You know, they're hunting as a pack. The Wolves are on the prowl because, you know, Cupcake did fall, but he just reset, come from spawn, run topside, influence the play again. So you'd have to say it was all a plan. It was all in a day's work for Cupcake.
But it was, I mean, that's a kill that's an assist that's really going to work wonders in this series to say, all right, we're back in things. Let's look to try and add pressure elsewhere. Speaking of, he's going to knock up Tally. Looks to try and give Shock a bit of a chance to now make a play. The stasis trap goes down, but the response here from Alador, who does get locked in place. So after Shock won't deal its damage. Now Tally down to half. And waiting on a TP and Destiny to regroup.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just well executed here from Direwolves. Claire actually It's going to say funny to say, but Claire actually identifying the Malphite damage there for the flash for the flash Q, right? And then it's just a nice follow-up here from Cupcake, landing the knock-up, no flash on the Jace, so...
Another evade, Jubes. It's the second time, but this time Peace actually able to steal that blue buff away. Shock knocks himself in and then gets locked in place by the charm and just absolutely hates life right there. Babbitt can then flash him forward and show him how to get it done. Then Destiny on towards Gunkrab, who has the spell shield and is going to prevent the gold card, but might just get run down by Viego, who has no care in the world. Beautifully played there by Peace.
Yeah, and it was initiated by Direwolves. They're the ones that popped on the hunt. They started the fight. They picked up the kill onto Aladoric, and they just didn't have enough in the tank. I mean, Shock kind of popped over, put himself in no man's land, and the Viego was able to take him down on the back end. And, you know, it really does feel like the picture that's being painted, and, you know, it's a little common sense, but the Viego reset in both series is just proving a little bit too much to deal with. And, you know, in that instance, it looked okay for Direwolves, but the moment Babib killed Shock, it was just as good as done. He's able to pick up the corpse, get a lot of healing back from it, and they run over it from there. Violet with the Featherstorm too, having a lot of value, so...
It's interesting to me, the response that they have into this Viego. We just think we can team fight better than you, or are we going to play for split push? And in this case, well, both occasions, it's been, we just believe our Wombo might be a fair bit stronger. You just saw Happy have to flash away because the pressure does come back topside again. It's going to net clear another turret plate. And he is actually a bit of a point of power now.
Interestingly, I don't know what Peace are doing with their lane assignments right now. It looks like Tally's gone bot side. He's sitting in the long lane, which is fair enough. But then it's going to be Jace mid. I feel like that's kind of the assignment that they're going for now into the Victor. Whereas Violet's just going to sit topside. I don't mind this from Claire, because at the moment, as it stands, he doesn't have anywhere to be. And this would be a very nice pick that they find onto Violet here. He doesn't have the Featherstorm available if they're timing it. He has flash and heal though.
15 seconds on that Herald, and this is meaning not going to contest. I mean, we can see that Peace, Tally's pushed that bot wave, now rotating to mid to get in range there for his own ulti. You can imagine, this is just to try and make life difficult for Shock to farm up a storm by planting the Jace mid. Far more poke and pressure than they could hope to achieve. But they're just invading the jungle like you would not believe. Bev is a man on a mission. Both these junglers with the most kill participation in this game so far. Babip has consistently now been stealing away double buffs.
Yeah, both junglers having a very good game. But the only kind of, I guess, crux to that is that Shock is not having a good game, right? Your Victor and your Siva are ones playing from behind, whereas, you know, on the Peace side of things, that's the strongest points of the map for them at the moment. So, you know, whilst Only is really strong, you'd have to say relative strength obviously going to be favouring.
Top side, looking for her on towards Violet, trying to bait out that Featherstorm. He's already hit the flash away. This will be a little bit too predictable. There's the Dragon's Rage, waiting for it. The Featherstorm now to pull a thing. There's the charm. He held it a little bit too long, baited by the pressure of the rock-solid man himself. A double kill comes out here from Only. You can steal my buffs, but I can steal your lives instead. A two-man turnaround. Malphite looking to try and put in a fair bit of work right now. And Babip has not enough lifesteal that at least Sin can now become 6-0.
That's huge. I mean, Only's just a man possessed at the moment, and you do feel like Skimmy, even if Only loses this game on Lee Sin, right? It's a win for the Lee Sin. It has to be. We pencil it down as a win statistically, and then it can be like, what, a 7% win rate on Lee Sin in playoffs, so we'll take that. But I mean, no, that's just a very good play there from Direwolves. I think Claire's the one that placed that ward earlier, maybe, and he teleports to that play, and they actually hold all of their CC extremely well.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to get the replay. You know, they don't burn their cooldowns preemptively. You know, most Malphites, maybe they use the ultimate there, but they wait to the very last second. He has to burn the ultimate, and this is kind of what the draft from Direwolves does now, in the sense that it's not one person going in, right? Cupcake still falls down, but he actually has a little bit of assistance now, so he's not getting one shot on the back end.
And it felt more like the threat of what could come was scarier than the actual, you know, reality, really, there for Violet, who was attempting to be burning all his escape tools. A little bit too much for him to try and juggle with what Direwolves were throwing his way. We return back to live, and a bit of attention was shown mid lane, but they are able to disengage away back to the fountain, so no real punishment, as Violet is now waiting for another wave to come on through to try and put a bit of damage towards this mid tier 1. This time around, very different story in terms of those team fights. Direwolves finding those kills that they lacked so much that allowed it to be a 3k deficit. But it has
Yeah,
been
now
a
it's
different
dead
tune
even.
in terms of the dragons, right? It's this time being Peace taking full control of double dragons, double heralds, as well as double buff steals too.
Yeah, dead even. And I mean, you know, if you're a Direwolves fan, you're probably pretty happy with current game state because we did hear Draft Lord, Mid Lord say in the earlier interview that there's a lot of tools Peace have in the early to mid game to make things happen, and they should have the stronger top side 2v2 as well as the mid jungle 2v2. Now they've made the mid jungle 2v2 to come to fruition, right? They have the lead there, but you have to say, right, the Malphite and the Lee Sin are probably stronger than the Jace and the Viego as of right now. Now what can Direwolves do with it? They're going to lose a turret to the Rift Herald.
They're pinging topside frantically right now, so we're going to try and prevent this one from getting 2 headbutts off. Just going to be shocked to try and defend this one, and going to commit a fair bit of damage towards this one. So much as burning his ultimate.
Yeah. And flash burnt too from Gunkrab there.
Uh-oh, Cupcake could get collapsed upon. Destiny right in terms of his head! Knocked back into Blast Cone, turn it around as Oli looks for it. And that will force Tully to try and flash away. Had a stopwatch, but did not want to burn it. Didn't want to bait his team into a false sense of hope. And that could be huge, because that's in time with the third dragon spawning.
Yeah,
Nine.
he could
Knock
be
up, follow up.
yeah,
I
in
thought
trouble.
she's gone.
Yeah.
Bit of disrespect there.
A little bit, and it feels like the momentum's kind of shifting towards Direwolves now. I mean, they've survived a few ultimates coming out of Peace, you know. More importantly, surviving the Twisted Fate ult is always going to be a huge one, and Happy might be dead.
Oh, Happy's just gone. Unstoppable falls from their shadows. No vision, no chance to escape. He had a flash. We did not anticipate a play like that. Only still hunting. Featherstorm! Because that's how scared they are. When the Wolfpack go hunting, they seem to find kills.
Did he not know Malphite ult was down? Was his
I mean, it's still a flash Dragon Rage, perhaps.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That may be in the com.
Yeah,
but, oh.
It does feel like, yeah, it does feel like in terms of current game state, obviously, you know, no, by no means is this one on any side, but Direwolves kind of have the momentum right now. They're the ones pulling all the strings, and it feels like when Only's ahead, he really does know how to corral his troops and rally them into a victory, right? As we're seeing him pick up some side lane farm on the Lee Sin even. You know, level 11, 7-0-1, has the Sterax. I dare say he's going to be a bit of a raid boss in the next team fight. The other thing I wanted to touch on, Skimmy, that we didn't really touch on in terms of draft, right? Obviously, there's been a lot of talking points, you know, surrounding the champs that Direwolves picked. You know, traditionally, not used to seeing the Victor, the Siva, and the Rakan, at least, you know, on this patch. But if we just take stock of the champions Peace have, they probably are a little AD heavy, right? At least for now. Because Twisted Fate has the Everfrost, then the Rapid Fire Cannon, which is not a magic damage item, right? Like, it's not a Leech Bane or a Death Cap or anything like that. So, you know, they're a little bit AD focused. And if we look at the items coming on through, yeah, there's not that much armor yet, but Malphite has 2 and he's building towards a 3rd. So if Malphite gets to those 3 armor items, then you start to kind of question, in an extended team fight, do they have enough to kill the Malphite quick enough?
I mean, you start to wonder, especially when that Fawn Mail is completed as well, that Clay could just jump on in, suck all the pressure, and give it time for someone like a Victor to then pop off from. So,
well, he's going to Randuin's, I think. I think he's opting for the Randuin's now. And Tally just used the Twisted Fate ult for a minion wave. And I mean, Appy's dead.
Now we can't actually protect Appy. Yeah, highlight point, fantastic. He's gone topside. Appy in a whole bunch of trouble. 1 and 4 to be. And this is so fascinating to me, Jubes, that Direwolves to build a composition that wants to fight. They're not even playing necessarily to the side lanes. They are picking you off so that they can't play to the side lanes.
No, that's exactly right. And they're really not utilizing their composition and its strength. And I feel like we kind of touched on this last game, right? We had a little question mark when the game got a little bit chaotic, and we said Peace needed to just take stock of game state, really reset, and utilize their composition. But at the moment, it's almost, I'm not going to say rage splitting, because that's not the word, but it's just good Direwolves proactive play. And again, here, they're the ones looking for the pick.
Yeah, 2-man depth charge as he has to face check and say, I can put a control wall down, but that's not going to achieve absolutely anything. We've got protection for this mid-tier 1 to now crash and fall on down. That's going to be the 3rd turret of the game in favor here for Direwolves. Yep. And it just feels like Only and Claire are holding hands, running through the jungle, having a grand old time.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like a 2v3 face check, and I think they barely popped Claire's shield. Obviously, they weren't standing there to trade back a lot of damage, but I mean, game state can become a little scary at the moment when this Malphite bases and picks up a Giant's Belt. So, not to mention,
crazy. that, you know, only has 8 kills on a Lee Sin from a jungle position. We had a quick look at his stats from the entirety of Split 2, and he actually had the second most kills in the jungle position. But I'll go back to the real highlight. He's got nearly 30% of his team's kill share, the most in the league as a jungler. He's really looking to try and be the engine, as we said. You mentioned sort of as your talking point for Direwolves, that mid-jungle, if they can get ahead, they can really get them across the line. It just seems to me as if Shock's been a little bit more of a passenger this game, much in part to playing a Victor, of course, but this Lee Sin and all the engagement they have is giving them enough power to try and bridge that maybe scary laning phase.
Well, I can say this because I'm in the Shock fan club at the moment, but this has probably been one of Shock's worst games in recent memory. And like he's only 1-2-1. But I'm just used to him having blinders and carrying the team on his back. So in terms of that, if Shock can have a relatively bad early game when you consider how well he's played most of the games, then, and you're still in this game state, I mean, he's scaly. Like, you're happy with the current game state as Direwolves, right? Because again, we said, you know, if Direwolves get to 3-4 items uninterrupted, then it really does feel like they're going to take over the game. Now, the one thing that you need to consider, and I guess the one thing we need to keep our finger on the pulse for, is Violet is still playing a crit 80 carry. I feel like anytime Violet is on crit 80, like, it's a winnable fight no matter what, because he has the capability to just put out 6k damage in a team fight. So, you know, we'll have to keep stock of, I guess, his itemization, and if he's able to pick up some armor pen before the Malphite and the Lee Sin get carried away.
It's only going to be a game that really requires a pop-off 1v9 Victor, or sorry, Violet performance. We've seen him do it time and time again across the entirety of 2021. And going to have to be very steady on the finger, both Flash as well as Featherstorm. Try and clutch out this one. Another dragon picked up here for Direwolves. They are well on course now to get 4 back-to-back Ocean Dragons. We saw Peace do this beforehand. Only last night, actually, and I mean, I don't think there's a better feeling in the world. The amount of sustain you have, couple that with a soul point too, you're passively healing, you're trading aggressively, and it really just cancels out any kind of poke this Jace wants to present.
You have to think too, right? Tally's getting a lot of pressure in this side lane, top side. In a normal game, maybe even in last game where his lane, like there's an Ashe that he's up against, he was able to find the Destiny on Twisted Fate and the pick multiple times. But it feels like the Siv's creating a little more problems due to the mobility, but also the spell shield. And he's kind of not really looked for it. And he actually might be the one that's caught here.
It could be, because there's the TP to come on through. Gold card, Everfrost, follow things up, flash away preemptively, not be able to sidestep that one. Unstoppable Falls gets cancelled. Beautiful stopwatch. It's not a Zonia's, but it's not going to seem to matter because he's being caught nonetheless, regardless. A 3-man depth charge as Cupcake brings that ultimate into the pack, but it doesn't seem to matter. They found their collapsed target, but they've actually had to pay a very big price here because the other 3 members have crashed in mid-wave. They've taken that mid-tier 1, and then Appy's putting on a whole bunch of work on bot side too.
It's not the quickest Baron in the world though, because they do have lethality Sivir, so I feel like Appy could have had a bit more spare time in this bot lane to push it out, but he probably values the poke that he's going to get down. And
here's the turn. That's Cupcake jumping on in. They had to make it to 50-50. Didn't look too good for them. The Chaos Storm is currently ripping fire. 3-man drag back. That's Babbitt jumping on in, looking for the reset. He's low, but he's found 1 soul. He's soon to find a 2nd soul. Appy going to fall on down, but Gunkrabs is dead. Violet with a triple kill. The numbers are there. The Baron to take. And Peace are back in the game.
And I'm glad we highlighted the Violet win condition, right? I'm really, really glad we said, you know, the game state's looking favorable for Direwolves. But I mean, you just have to keep your eyes on Violet. No matter, I mean, whatever deficit, as long as he's in the game, as long as he's stable, it just feels like he's always a win condition. And I mean, watch how he played this last team fight. Look at that, 5k, like we said. We literally hit the nail on the head. Didn't we say 5 or 6k damage team fight as well? I mean, I feel like we've been watching this guy all year, no?
It's like we know what we're talking about, mate. I tell you what, there may not be anything scarier in this world, much like an anime arc. Watch him. See Violet smile. When he smiles, they just pop off.
Look at him. So he's actually frontlining. He's ahead of his team here. And look at the feathers, right? Actually, Direwolves, I think they forget about these feathers because watch them walk forward here. Bang! Rips them back onto 2 members. More importantly, onto Shock. Still taking Baron damage. Babip, presence of mind to flash forward. Violet even flashing forward. And he's able to clean up here. Oh, wow. What a team fight. 5.4k DPS on the Xayah. Fighting with a man down. You love to see it.
Certainly do, and it completely cancels out the lead that Direwolves had. Now they find themselves back in a familiar position like game 1, down by 3,000 golds. And a soul point, that's going to be a world away from being picked up any time soon. Okay, so now once again playing to their position of power, which is split pushing. They got themselves 4 turrets to 3 with a Baron buff. Going to be now on the hunt to get himself an inhibitor before Direwolves can answer back, and that's exactly what they're looking to do so far. The jump on through, not going to find it. Quickness was there. The charm will not find the target they are hunting for, but Direwolves still seem to, despite walking into the shadows, still be keen to try and find themselves that kill. They're going to go in towards Appy. That's just being left to his own. And now can they pick members apart, because 2 members have gone to the top side, 2 have gone down to the bottom, and now it's just Jace and a Nautilus with no Baron buff left.
I don't know how that happened, to be honest, because you know what I was going to do? You know what was in my mind? It was actually in my mind, I cast the Curse them. Because what I was going to say was, I think this game is really hard for Direwolves now, because all of their engage and what they're going to be able to do is just linear. It's going to be in a lane, and it's just going to be in front of them. So Violet is going to have a field day in using that Feather Storm, and it's going to be nigh impossible for Malphite or only to find and engage. But, I mean, they found Appy, then they found Aladoric, and it looks like they're going to be able to stabilize this Baron, and they're not going to lose anything, really, aside from the Baron gold.
They're looking for it. Hello, Twisted Fate. Find yourself that gold card, because I am very scary on this Lee Sin. Double digits now, 10 kills. Rocks up to the party into bot try and says hello to Babbitt. Both level 14, but he has a Guardian Angel. Need one to try and win out this series. There's the balls onto one. The Dragon Rage not going the way that they really hoped for. Exhaust out
Violet.
onto Malphite. A 3-man knockup. Violet across the wall, untouched. Could do so much work right now. The gank starts by trying to take out Tally, but he bites back with a double kill. And Peace as a whole take down 4.
Funnily enough, I gave a lot of credit to Violet there, and like he did do a bit of damage, but the AoE, slam, jam, space jam, thank you ma'am, whatever we want to call it, coming down from Appy was insane. He was the one that actually got the hammer form down and committed a lot of AoE damage there, which then led to Violet and Co cleaning up the team fight. So got to give credit to the 1-6, is it 1-6-1 or 1-6 whatever, Jace. Had a bit of a rough time, but he came in at the end there for his teammates. 1-6-7. Looks like that's going to be an inhibitor that falls.
Certainly feels like it. Despite not having the Baron, they're going to get the ultimate prize anyway. Mid and Ib falls on down. Destiny goes out as Direwolves members are respawning. And it is a perfect sequence of events as they can pick that one up, disengage away, go down towards bot side, pick up the Dragon. Tally, please.
Tally? You alright, buddy?
He's been playing too much World of Warcraft there, nearly died to the boss itself, or the Dragon.
Yeah, but you weren't healing me. My guild. I'm leaving my guild.
It was soon to be a bit of a wipe there. A bit of a G-quit if I've ever seen one. But he's back in business. They picked themselves up the 3rd Dragon for themselves. 5 minutes on the clock, and it's going to be an interesting overlap between Inhib spawning and the Soul Point to play for.
Yeah, and I mean 5k is a significant amount. I mean, you know, Violet is in dangerous territory in terms of being able to clean up a team fight, but it still does feel like in terms of it, it's going to come down to execution, right? It's going to come down to, it's funny to say, but it's going to come down to holding cooldowns for Direwolves. Because sometimes, you know, having the cooldown is more of a threat than actually using it, as we get the replay here. So it looks okay. It looks okay initially, but they don't factor in the Sterax that Babip has because he survives for such a long time. And watch the Jace here. Because I thought it was Violet initially, but watch the Jace. He just squashed 4 members. Completely squashed them. And then Violet's just playing cleanup crew on the back end. So, I mean, even though Appy is playing from a deficit, he's still really, really, really relevant in this game. And I guess the point that I was touching on was that, you know, holding the Malphite ultimate and not using it, and holding the Lee Sin kick, sometimes is more of a threat for Violet, and he can't play the team fight that he would like, the way that he would like to, because it's just that, you know, impending doom button where he needs to really just wait for it and wait it out. So, I mean, Direwolves are still in with a chance. They just have that wombo combo, but it is a very tough ask for them at the moment.
I tell you what, if this was a solo queue game, I would be very frustrated as only. You're up 10-0, you're thinking, come on team, I'm trying to drag you across that finishing line. We've got such a strong wombo combo, but we're starting to feel the pressure of if the combo doesn't find that initial kill, they're locked inside a chasm of damage, and sure, you're thinking, great, Stiver, Boomerang, fun times. The same could be said there for Victor, but the ability, like we just saw there for Appy, to jump in aggressively despite his KDA for the flank that Violet can present too. It's making their counter engage feel just a fraction stronger. Baron up in 10 seconds. 32 minutes into this game. Time to dig deep.
I mean, it's now or never, right? This Baron does feel like it's going to be the turning point in this game. I feel like if Peace get this one, it is going to be tough to hold what is going to be, I mean, an open inhibitor bot side and a top lane inhibitor that's going to get sieged down by this Jace. So going to be a lot of tension, a lot of dancing off on this mid wave, needing to really secure the vision when you can, because if you don't, Peace, Tally in particular, is going to inevitably end up hitting this turret, and he can use the Twisted Fate ultimate to just cheat out of danger, right? You know, he's pretty much in no man's land at the moment, but again, can pop Destiny, can get out. All of a sudden, you have a pretty decent top wave that's pushing in, and you can do what you please now. But Direwolves aren't even answering. They're just going straight for the Baron. They want the fight.
And this is what's crazy to me, Juice, is the fact that those top and bottom lanes were in a neutral state. Peace has said, well, I think there's only one condition that Direwolves are playing for. Hold mid, get control, out this inhibitor pressure. But now they've got two waves pushing against them. They've got to basically say, we've got to do something here. On the hunt has been popped. Gun Crab already down to 20%. He's really just been soloed by the 3-item power spike of a Jace. The fight breaks out in mid lane. Cupcake with the quickness, going to try and find himself that key target, that key charm, the Chaos Storm. Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam, trying to find himself that win right there. But Appy goes golden as he assassinates out Gun Crab. 1-2, Tappy's done the job for his team only. Still flawless, still deathless. Running away with Vegeta. He hopes not to pop. The blue buff is there. Oh, he can't connect with the follow-up Q.
He's dead.
He's going to fall on down.
1K.
And that's a lot of golds, and that might have been the best chance Direwolves had.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough because that looked like a good team fight for Peace. I mean, Gun Crab did start that fight on, what, a quarter health? This actually might be game, Skimmy. They're teleported in. TF's on the bot wave. They're pushing in another wave. You know, it's Shock Alive. Does have decent enough wave clear, but, I mean, Violet has Flash, and I mean, this could be as good as done.
It could be Shock the focus. He's going to do whatever he can. The 5k damage of the Zai is enough as the BMO comes out from Tally to seal the deal with a card that spells disaster. Peace 2-0 in this best of 5.
Yeah, this was just an ultraviolet game, wasn't it? It really just felt like that. I don't even necessarily think Peace played the composition to a T, right? I feel like, you know, if you VOD reviewed this game, gave this game back to them to kind of play differently, they would all opt in for a different way to end this one out. But Ultraviolet at the Baron, getting enough gold in his pocket, and ultimately it doesn't matter at that point. I mean, if your Violet's just free hitting, full crit, it's a very, very tough ask. And 2-0 to Peace, and they're on match point, Skimmy.
They certainly are. A position now that Direwolves will need to try and answer back from. We were critical of some of their drafting decisions to say, you need to adapt quicker, you need to ban away, maybe change up completely what the option is. And I think for the second time now, we've seen a bit of a bot lane gap that's really starting to cause headaches. And I mean, Mac, for me, you start to look at that one and think the next 10 minutes, the time between game 2 and 3 are going to be of the utmost importance now.
Yeah, mate. Look, Gapping or Capping is going to have a fun week next week, especially if Direwolves aren't even in it. So, we'll see how that goes. But for, I guess, the majority of the game, you had only really running. Like, he died and the game was over. That's pretty much what it came down to, right? Like, man was 10-0 and 2 or 10-0 and 3 or something just before he went down. And you could see what he was trying to do. He hit the Q, the initial Q over on the blue buff. Was trying to jump ship, but he couldn't get away. And then had no utility left. Well, I don't think he even had more than maybe 10 milliseconds to use any utility he had when he did come back from the G8 because he just got completely blitzed down. And Violet, wow.
That's what I mean.
He was very pumped about that one.
When he's emotionally popping off, you just know that Peace are on one, right? When you see him stone cold killer saying nothing's, it's like, oh, he's talking, it's happening, things are going on. But as soon as you see him screaming, you're like, this team, I mean, you can't stop them.
Yeah, when I see him scream, I know it's over, and I don't want to watch anymore because what's going to follow is not going to be good for the team that I'm casting for. So, I mean, even here, I feel like although there's members that at points in this game for Peace are not having the best game, right? Like you take a tab check and you see 167 Jace, you think, okay, that's a rough game, you know. But he's still having impacts, and what I mean by that is watch Appy in this fight. Keep your eyes on Appy because it is easy to get lost on him, but watch the presence of mind here. To flash forward onto Gun Crab, and this is what I think actually turns it. Like that presence of mind there, and then pop the stopwatch. So you come out and you're still able to play the game. I mean, this is a 2-6 now Jace, right? He is not the focal point of this team, but he's still able to have a significant impact, and this is a dangerous team when you can do things like that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, you know, a couple of things that go wrong just turn into the game, and that's what happens at this level of gameplay. Look, you play it to a T for the first 20 minutes, 15 minutes or so, and then it just starts to go downhill when Peace come back in the game. However, this number, Jubes, we're talking about the numbers, we're looking at the KDAs, the assists, still 1. higher for Peace there. So even though it was a very close game, the stats reflect that pretty much perfectly if you have a look at just the KDA.
I mean, that's what it felt like in both games, to be honest with you, Mac. It just feels like they're head ramming. They're just head ramming. And it doesn't even matter the draft, right? I mean, Peace could probably get away with a little less head ram, but they're saying, you know what, head ram us and we'll just heel check you and win those team fights. And I can point out a couple of them where it could have gone either way, but Peace were just a little too good on the day in that skirmish, in that team fight. And then, I mean, we just take stock of the Violet damage in this particular game. You know, 20k will round up, I mean, highest in the game. And particularly on a short-range 80 carry, into a Malphite, into a Victor, yes, can use the Featherstorm to deny a lot of the damage coming on through and CC, but I mean, you still got to be on, right? I mean, how many times have we seen an 80 carry domestically, internationally, just get hit by the CC and you start to say, well, all you have to do is flash. But I mean, you still have to do it under the lights, with the pressure, knowing that the team needs you to step up, and Violet seems to do it time and time again.
Yeah, just seems to be that key to consistency. I guess, look, with the bliss that is hindsight that we currently have, what would you guys think could change for Direwolves going into Game 3?
Well, if I'm being brutally honest, I think it's got to be a hard look at bot lane. Because I think that's where they're suffering the most. That's where they're bleeding the most. More specifically, I think Cupcake needs to put the Rakan away. Maybe it's worked for them in scrims. Maybe it's worked for them all week, Skimmy. But it feels like he needs to be on something with a little more agency and a little less fragile.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that brings us to another break. So, hold your horses. Even though Jordan hates horses, I think Skimmy actually likes horses. So maybe let your horses go. They can gallop around in the fields, and they can have a nice quick break, as can you, because we've got Game 3 coming up just after this.
Basically saying we've got to do something here. On the hunt has been popped. Going Crab already down to 20%. He's literally just been soloed by the 300 power spike of a Jace. The fight breaks out in mid lane. Cupcake with the quickness, going to try and find himself that key target, that key charm, the Chaos Storm. Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam, trying to find himself that win right there. But Appy goes golden as he assassinates out Gun Crab. 1-2 Tappy's done the job for his team only. Still flawless, still deathless. Running away with Vegeta, he hopes not to pop the blue buff is dead. Oh, he can't connect with the follow-up Q.
There I go again, breaking your heart, left in the dark, 2 worlds apart. There I go again, stuck in the streets. I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. I know you're feeling up with pain, cause I'm stuck in this game, and there's no one else to blame except myself. Is strange, and I cannot feel the pain. Look, you wanted me to change, and I know you can't stand the way you feel. So in the streets, I know it's bad for me, I know you wanna leave. There I go again, try to get a Benz. You tell me that there's more than life than selling. I can change for the money I'll get. All I knew in life's rebelling in this way of life. There's no talent, especially if you guys commit violence. Some of them are locked, but that's unless. never too much, never quite enough. Never been this close, but still so hard to love. If I take this step, will it be far enough? Will it come crashing down, crashing down?
Well, we're back again, and well, so's Nat. That's the most important part here, because we've been on your screens all night. You've heard them two all night. I'm just here to fill the void, and Nat, you're pretty good at filling the void as well with some stats.
I am.
Because we are back for game number 101, like the Dalmatians. Do you have any stats to do with the dogs?
Not overly. The only interesting stat that I have about dogs is about 100% of them are absolutely adorable and good boys or girls.
Yes.
So, and I think that's the only stat that really matters when it comes to dogs.
If that's
Very
the
true.
case, I'm a dog.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd put you in their adorable column. And
Hey, you're the big
boy,
dog, mate.
Jude,
That's
yeah.
what you are, bro.
I'm the big dog.
Okay. Well,
But as for game stats, though, the only one that I think is really important, as much as Jubes wants to chalk that last Lee Sin game up to a win, it wasn't actually. Lee Sin's been picked 6 out of the past 7 games, so the 2 today, 5 yesterday, and he's lost all 6 games. So absolutely awful win rate. Maybe Direwolves don't pick in this game, ban the Jays, and they might get a win.
Ooh, okay. And I think I saw another stat as well. The Zaya has a 100% win rate, picked over 5 games so far in playoffs, I think. So that's a pretty good stat, but just pick her and you win. That's pretty solid too. Now, something else that's pretty solid is we finally have some more content from you guys. So let's have a quick look at what's been going on the Twitter sphere this one. Lolo_EUW. Can't watch everything today as traveling, but showing support where I can.
There we go.
Guan at Direwolves. What's Guan? Anyone?
Guan, like...
Guan! Like, go on.
I'm imagining he's like, go
yeah,
on,
yeah.
mate, go on, mate.
Get him!
Get in
You
there,
know.
son, mate.
Yeah, it stands for what's going on.
Yeah,
does it?
rugby.
Well, I think in Australia we say Garn, like G-A-R-N. But
Yeah,
No, we say C-A-R-N, like can't.
yeah, that's come on. But then go on, Garn, can't.
This just sounds like a carbon conversation now, to be honest with you.
Well, I hope he's going to enjoy that one. However, I think something else everyone, including Carbon, if he's in chat, is going to enjoy is Game 3. It's ready. Ladies and gents, not going to keep you waiting. Here it bloody is.
Beauty Mac, well, let's see. Is the reverse sweep on, or will Peas have the perfect 3-0 night? As it stands, nothing has changed at all in terms of blue and red side. Both teams playing to what is their most comfortable style. One small adaptation in the draft, though. Malphite has been taken away, with the Renekton and Kill still being denied, and that means that Bard is available.
That's an early Bard. I mean, it's probably going to get Nautilus, which can be a bit of a toughy lane, because, I mean, feels like Alatoric's got heat-seeking missiles at the moment on his skill shots, but, like, we're not flies on the wall, but to analyze this, I feel like if you lose 2 games, something's got to give in either your bans or your picks. And it is like a little bit, they're changing it up with the Bard and whatnot. But what I mean is, like, they're still giving Peace their first 3. They're still giving Viego, Jace, Twisted Fate. Why would Peace change anything? Why would they? You're 2-0. You don't need to fix anything that's not broken, and nothing's broken. They pick their first 3 because that's what they're comfortable blinding, and quite frankly, they're fine blinds. Then they counterpick bot lane as well as they can, obviously. And it just feels like you're giving them what they've 2-0'd on in the first 3. And these 3 picks have been key, have been influential. So, I'm not sure, Skinny.
And it feels like there's no pressure bot lane for Peace to have to lock it in early, because like we just feel that we will beat you. And my question was going to start to ask, would Direwolves look to pick up a mage, right? Would that Ziggs make a return? We've seen it commonly paired with either the Rakan or the Fresh, but they've gone for the Ezreal instead. So Another pick that Violet is quite comfortable on, but Gun Crab no doubt is just as proficient and will be looking to have a big performance here because that bot lane in particular needs to really rise to the question of what can we do to get ourselves into a point of power. And as much as we meme on the fact that Lee Sin has lost another game only, he's going to run it back once again. Why not? I mean, if you finish a game like that, 10-0, you're thinking, we can really put a stamp on this game, but I just need a few bits of power elsewhere to start to rely on.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, if you have to be hypercritical, maybe the Lee Sin shouldn't have 10 kills. But again, he did have to take a lot of them. But I have to say, you know, maybe just giving away some gold could have been a possibility. But, you know, that's just being like hypercritical. Looks like they've changed their ban styles. Like they've banned the Xayah and the Tristana now. So that leaves, and they've taken the Ezreal. So maybe
banned away Zoe and Ryze as well, which shocks most two-players of the entire year. So you're starting to ask yourself, is it a Syndra? Can't ban. LeBlanc can't ban. Outside of that, you're starting to think, Azir, Orianna,
Victor again.
Cassiopeia, Victor, these are the only sort of other majors that spring to mind. And I think Peace is very comfortable with this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little surprised about potentially picking the Twisted Fate, but he does get the Cassio into the Twisted Fate, but he does get outranged by the Jace and can run into those problems of actually not having any agency in the team fight because like Cassio prefers to be, you know, to a certain extent getting dove on because she can kite back so well, can use the gaze to really create that space. So, I mean, the Victor is probably just where he's feeling a lot more comfortable. You know, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even mind seeing the Orianna coming out of Gun Crab here. Out of Shock, because it has a very good matchup into the Twisted Fate, and it's kind of just like a suit almost everything type of champion. But I mean, this is kind of what I expected to see, right? When we saw the early Bard, I said, we're going to just see the Nautilus into the Bard because it is a good lane for Aladoric, and it can actually match roams too in the early game. You actually have a bit of an impact in the level 3, level 4 skirmishes. And Kai'Sa into the Ezreal, pretty standard, pretty stock standard. You know, so across the board, again, you feel like Peace have a pretty good draft.
You certainly do. Certainly on brand for what is making them so strong. Last pick. It's going to be a Jarvan. Now, this is kind of exciting because if that's a top lane Jarvan, which it won't be because it will be going into the jungle because Lee Sin's going to now be paired into the top side instead. I was getting excited for a second because we had seen murmurs of Jarvan being played top lane, but this will make a little bit more sense. This is a pick that only hasn't played too many in his career, but it's certainly up there and is going to give them that more wombo combo, right? You're thinking Cataclysm, Tempered Fate, makes it very easy then for Shock to get maximum damage output.
Yeah, look, it makes sense, but I mean, Lee Sin in the top lane has sort of fallen off, if you will, right? We don't see much.
Yeah.
We don't see much of Lee Sin in a solo lane anymore, mainly in the jungle. So, I mean, we'll just have to see how this one plays out because in my mind, like, Abby should really win this one. And even if he doesn't win and he just goes even, it feels like the Jace is going to be a lot more impactful in those skirmishes, in those team fights. But it feels like a lot of this early game and a lot of this agency is going to be left with only, again, you know, what can he do around the map? Now, in saying all that, there's not a lot of facilitation on the side of Direwolves, right? Like, the lane that he can play around is, a Bard lane. There's not much CC. Shouldn't be able to get much work done there, right? You got the Victor in the mid lane into Twisted Fate. Shouldn't be able to get much done there. So it does feel like, again, the place where Only's going to have to put a majority of his time is top side of the map and see what he can get done there. But again, it feels like Peace just have the tools in the early game, like Draft Lord, Mid Lord said.
Yeah, they're just saying we don't need to make any, rash decisions or big changes. We're feeling quite confident that, this is a comp that wants to skirmish. You could maybe put a question mark over, well, is there enough, ability power? Is there enough magic damage on your composition to not feel victim to mitigation that could come out from bit, itemization or from potential souls that can get picked up? But why change it, Juice? Because they are clearly playing with confidence. They're well rehearsed. They're warmed up from yesterday. They ran the gauntlet all 5 games. They come into this one with a very clear plan. Lock in the first 3. We're playing blue side. Flex the bottom lane. We will just beat you in that position too. And I mean, worrying times, right? Having to pick an Ezreal Bard so early on into a draft.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of says to me that they want to like forfeit the lane a little bit, right? And try to influence elsewhere. And I mean, that's kind of how Direwolves have played the whole series, right? But it just feels that, the influence Cupcake has had on the game hasn't been to the same standard or same value as Aladoric. Partially, yeah, maybe we can blame draft, yeah, maybe we can blame something else, but, at the end of the day, it just feels like Aladoric's been first to the punch and really set his team up for success in the early game.
Well, let's see, Juves. Peace are on match point. They came into this competition as the 5th seed.
Yep.
And they may now be 1 game away from rebooking themselves a rematch in the grand final with Pentanet, this time for Worlds. As for Direwolves, They've seen the reverse sweep happen. They want to try run it back here, and it starts with this step now. Be a big mountain to climb. But they've shown moments of magic that may be enough.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's been a series where I guess Peace have closed out, and there's probably a little more questions than answers for Direwolves, but it hasn't been blowouts in any of the games. Direwolves have had their moments, and you know, they've been 1 or 2 executions or perfect or proper team fights away from really blowing the game open. So again, if Direwolves can kind of keep their head and really just play the game out and execute their composition in the way that they know they can, then we're probably in for a longer series. You know, potentially we're on the cards for another game. But you know, in saying all that, 2 games down, there's a lot of pressure that comes with it.
It certainly is, and it's really a year built around this team for the Direwolves being hyped up as experienced. They've been around for multiple years, multiple rosters, multiple chances to claim titles, finals, and put themselves as that super team. And whilst it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for them, they have had those moments where you can start to understand this was a team built to try and qualify. This was a team to upset the apple cart of Pentanet dominance. But in a series like this now, you're down 2-0. Not much has really changed. It's been predominantly yourselves having to flex and make those changes. You're starting to ask, is comfort enough? And I guess we start to look at this bot lane for the Bard.
It feels like the first time, and I don't want to curse it, but the first time at level 1 we haven't seen summoners burnt or people die. And
I just jinxed it.
I did jinx it a little bit, but no one's dead. There's no summoners burnt. It's just half health. And I mean, I don't know why this happens so much. It feels like this happens a lot. Like, you've started here on Ezreal. You know, you don't win the level 1 because Nautilus can land the hook, especially because you're playing for 2. But it's just not worth getting chunked like that, it feels like. And you know the level 1's coming, you know the hook's coming. Let the wave come in. Is it that hard?
Well, when the pressure's there, Juice, I'm sure there's a million things running through their minds right now. You can see 5 games here played by Cupcake. It's a champion that he's really established a name for himself on. And it is going to be a tall ask now because you were relying on a pick with a major career on. The safety net to get yourselves into that 4th game. Exhaust goes out straight away on towards Violet. Had to be, as Alador had already found himself that hook. It's the first gank of the game. And a nice little flash also from Tally.
Yeah, it's just heat-seeking bot lane, isn't it? Aladoric, I feel like this has just been all 3 games. He's landed hooks in all 3 lanes and burnt summoners early. So he's walking up to this crab now. Nice gank there from Only, by the way, that we just missed, or not missed, but didn't touch on. And does he have smite? He does have smite. Wait, what?
Flash forward on towards Only, locked him in safe with the Nautilus passive, forced to flush away into bot. Try, nowhere to run right now, but Going Crab is answering. And he's able to now path back towards that crab, which will get a reset. Here comes Shock, locking him in place. The Station's Trap is there, cutting back towards it. Mana is low. And damage really isn't enough for either side to commit to her first bloods. So the crab, at least the bot side, will go in favor of Direwolves. Peace now look to set up a 3-man collapse on towards Claire.
As a bot lane, and I'll hold the thought. I'll hold the thought because the teleport's coming on through. Okay, now we have time to breathe. I think we need to really revisit and go back and see what actually happened there. Because that was a Peace bot lane that 2v4'd the Scuttle Crab. And I feel like that needs a bit of a statement. Tally walked topside. Aladoric flashed onto Only and burnt the Ignite and burnt some cooldowns. They nearly killed Only on the back end. And then Shock even come down to contest the crab. So they managed to secure it, but it was quite literally a 4v2. And they're up farm.
Is it the age of saying, Juice, where you're left with more questions than answers?
Am I being delusional, or was it a 2v4? I mean, Ez was farming under tower, sure, but I'm talking about 4 players being on the same side of the map. I don't know how they get away with this. Yeah, they burn summoner spells, and it is, very aggressive. But look at this. It's four members of Direwolves, and then they have to burn the teleport to stop the dive onto Claire. That just feels so bad.
Yeah, and I think really, Peace found everything they wanted, right? Just poking their head into topside and saying, we could potentially crash this wave and find a kill pre-6. Oh, you got the TP. That's good enough for us right now. It's, you know, those rare insights into players' behavior that could be telling of, you know, where the mental's at currently. Certainly 4v2. Situation they're going to be too happy about. And maybe you could be critical and say, well, you know, your major source of engage is the Jarvan. He's already gone out the fight, but doesn't look good. Look good here for Clear either. May just get run on down. He's trying to sidestep the safeguard. Eventually will get him out of harm's way. Brett off that accelerated shock blast. Taunting him from afar. No first blood yet.
Yeah, no first blood yet. And a relatively kind of stable early game. This is what we've seen pretty much throughout the whole series, right? It takes like 1 or 2 moments for the game to really blow out. And, you know, you have to say that if you're a guy looking for something, or if you're looking for where that is going to be, then quite possibly bot lane. I mean, all the summoner spells have been burnt on the bot side of the map in terms of flashes, and Jarvan is going to hit level 6 soon, so we'll see if he does decide to path towards there.
He's going to be able to bully Babip off that one and pick himself up the second crab top side. Interesting to note, as much to be a credit Babip to being the Nidalee player. Across the entire career of Babip, he's actually played 2 games more as Jarvan. That is his most played champion.
Yeah.
No doubt going to be very experienced as to what only he's looking to try and achieve and how he wants to play this one. But Viego, certainly the hot flavor now, offers a fair bit more, as we've already seen.
There was a team, a very talented team that Babip used to play on that consisted of all North American, either LCS or Academy players now. And I think he locked Jarvan like 9 weeks in a row. Not even kidding. Legit 9 weeks in a row, just Jarvan duty for the boys. And that's what I mean, like, the pivot of these players and what Babip is willing to do for his team is a very, very, very good team player, right? Like, takes the trundle when he needs to. Viego obviously being a champion that can do damage, but also builds like that bruiser route, so can soak a little bit as well. So he's always willing to pick for the team, and he's got both styles in his locker, and I think that's why he and Peace are so dangerous at the moment.
It's just interesting to note the differences between the 2 players, and sort of what you highlight, right, is only is more keen to, you know, find those kills, get aggressive, try and get the ball rolling, whereas Babip we've seen a little bit more focused on the map states and sort of what play to go for. Will that be stealing away some jungle pressure, timings and tempo? In this case, clearly has himself the confidence to say, I can play Viego, you boys can pop off, I'll be there to pick up some souls, we can just, you know, run rampant with resets.
And that's the name of the game, right? Get the resets. Like, literally, get him 1 reset, and it feels like the team fight's as good as done. I mean, that's kind of how Viego feels at the moment, right? 1 reset and in a little bit of trouble. And we saw the Chaos Storm just being burnt in the mid lane.
Yeah, Flash Dragon Rage from there. Big magical journey. Cupcake capitals the cut-off point here. Destiny goes on through. There is the Cataclysm. First blood picked up, and as soon as Tally rocks up for this fight, he has no money. He's been exhausted straight away. Flash away from Cupcake.
Oh,
There's
double.
the ultimate from Babip. The kill's going to be picked up by Tally. Now he is the Bards. Be a binding. That won't come out, because that's a disengage away.
Thought that might be a little Michael Dublé there, but the safeguard came out of the Lee Sin, and it's a nice little play there from Direwolves, but it's also a good play to retaliate from Peace. You know, they're able to trade 1 for 1 there, and not going to be much loss, but I think this might be the 3rd straight Rift Herald picked up from Peace, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, you know, this is just a lot of gold, a lot of value in the bank, and when you're playing something like the Jace, and when you have such a strong side lane composition, the earlier you can break a turret, whether that's bot side or top, means Tally can go to that lane and you start wreaking havoc with the Destiny and generating a lot of pressure. So, I mean, just in terms of draft, you never really want to give away first Herald to this type of team composition.
It's just interesting timing as well, right? Going back to how that play all began with the Chaos Storm being used to push it away for what you can only imagine being Shock wanting to go back to base, but Tally then choosing that to gank topside as Direwolves regardless still look to try and force that play. Ultimately, there is the Herald summon topside. It is in towards the hands of Appy, as you highlight. A 3-man revisit. There is the TP from Shock to try and group up for this one, but it would feel like he'd just be falling on down 4. A cross-map play in towards mid lane, try and take out Tally. There's the Stasis Trap. The kills are traded. Viego and Victor on the boards. And ultimately, Peace are feeling quite happy with this one because the top's going to fall on down. Gun Crab! Oh no! Violet's done him a number.
Obviously, obviously, in terms of gold, in terms of value, this is a more than favorable trade for Peace. Of course, you can see the gold lead kind of ballooning out now, 2k. But if you're from the Church of Shock and you're a real believer in him as a player, you'd have to say him getting 2 kills on this Victor and closer to those upgrades and potentially even having 2 upgrades or so now, you've got to be happy with, right? Obviously, the deficit you're in is not good. I'm not trying to say that. But I'm saying, if you believe in the man, if you believe in Shock, then you'd have to say you're content with where the kills went. As we've seen the dive come on through. Aladoric, again, I feel like this becomes pretty textbook from him. Level 6, topside gank. And I mean, especially when they're picking volatile top lane matchups, I feel like, you know, they've had Jace every game this series. Just making it work and really setting Appy up to be one of those kind of carries of this team, which I feel like we haven't said too often. I feel like a majority of the year, and I could be mistaken, it could be recency bias, but he's never really been set up the way that he has in playoffs.
No, certainly not. But I feel like he was definitely up there in sort of split one, right? As a big talking point between himself and Biopanther as being sort of a difference maker for their team, a lane to rely on. Both certainly have huge champion rosters that they can play around with. But I mean, it's just crazy to me that despite him being 1-6 in the previous game, he was still able to output so much. The response from Direwolves, knowing that they were going to lose clear, lose that turret, is they need to gank somewhere else. But they lost a second turret in the process. That's given Appy so much pressure to play around. And now he's unlocked, grouped up with the team, hunting for more.
That they are. I feel like nowhere on Summoner's Rift is really owned by the Direwolves at the moment. And they're just kind of playing and catching their waves as deep as they can. I mean, Ezreal's just being forced off completely. And I mean, he has to be forced off because they just got so deep and got so much vision control. And again, the Destiny is just one of those things where you think you're safe, you think it's even numbers, but surprise, surprise, Tally's here.
Yeah, shows you how respectful you have to be despite running all that way back. As soon as they're off vision, can't do anything. Really can't. True Shot Barrage goes out, connects the minions, as well as also Violet so far. But it's not going to be of too much concern because there are still multiple members of Peace in the area to protect him. As Direwolves now look to get a little bit creative with some of the vision that they had before. That has now just been cleared out. They are setting themselves up. A nice bit of timing here to try and connect and collapse, but they've been spotted out here by Aladoric and Babbitt as they went to try and turn their attention on towards Tally in the mid lane. Locked in place, the Magic Journey. Cupcake wishes to go through, but going to fall on down. Cataclysm acting against him. Walking out of Stasis Trap. Will be able to answer back with at least 1 kill of their own. The ultimate prize, the red buff it seems. That they will get.
Cupcake actually getting through that portal there probably saves the play because Babip isn't actually able to click the corpse and pick up that reset and, you know, potentially juke or save a lot of damage. So, I mean, tactical and nice death there from Cupcake. But I mean, it was actually, I like to see this from Direwolves, right? Because they're actually trying to make a play. They're trying to make something happen. It's being proactive on the flash of Twisted Fate. He falls down. But I mean, because they're on the right side of the map and they're kind of there as a team making the correct collective decision, they're able to pick this one up off the back end. And still, the gold lead doesn't move much, but those picks are obviously key because, you know, the gold again does go over to Shock, and I feel like he broken record, but again, he has been that pivot. He has been the anchor in a good sense for this team, right? He's been real sturdy and real stable.
Game 1, pop-off performer, the most gold in the game, and was looking to try and do it all as the Rise. A little bit of a quieter game in Game 2, but playing the Victor once more. Now, this time around, his KDA looks a lot better. And he's feeling a lot more confident about his chances. Give it a couple more levels. Already on to the second evolution of that ultimate with level 11 there to potentially be a difference maker in this one here. As for Peace, it feels like business as usual. This is really how the first 50 minutes have always played on out. And it's come down to a decisive Baron or Dragon fight where they get that initial pick, the Viego pops off, and by that point, the damage output from Direwolves isn't enough to answer back.
Well, this is the beauty of Peace's draft, is that they don't, you know, whilst the Victor's extremely strong, they actually don't need to play into the Victor. And this is where they create a lot of pressure in a side lane, and they can either A, collapse onto Shock if he's ever out of position, or they can do this.
Stonecrab's in trouble, has Flash Cleanse and Astral Shift, going to look to try and run away from the depth charge, then flash to the turret to make it a little bit harder to make that play. Double TP and a Destiny. As everybody groups up in bot lane and says it's our time to shine, they're going to find that kill. Claire secures it. There's the Chaos Storm also. Cosmic Biting is going to connect onto Tally. A nice little disengage away from Peace.
So it's a good pickup. They did get a kill, and they got a few summoner spells as well, but it looks like the Jace and the Viego are going to break mid turret, and if they're not going to break it, they're going to get enough damage down for that to be, I'd say, a favorable trade, right? Like, every day of the week, you'll trade a mid turret for 1 kill, so consider that, I guess, an investment. That's how it will fall next time around.
Yeah. Holds on just by a sliver, only looking for the EQ combo, but losing vision in that Triad Rush means he can't afford to step up anymore. Very fragile still, has that Gore Drinker complete, would be haphazard given that the third Dragon of the game has now just spawned, 1 apiece to both teams. The game on now, finding that team claim the soul. A lot of attention now thrown towards the spot lane, leaving mid exposed. But I don't think Peace are too concerned about this one. The attraction of picking up a dragon whilst alluring for direwolves. Peace are much more connected and concerned about getting more map pressure and leaving Appy to start threatening a top lane inhib.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the beauty about the draft, the beauty about the composition, right? Direwolves need everything to happen in front of them, and Peace don't necessarily need that. So I think we'll just continue to see a game like this where Direwolves will be able to pick up kills. They will be able to find members that are, I guess, straying from the path, but it'll just always be about what are they getting on the other side of the map, what are they going to lose, and what are they going to trade. Because again, you need to take stock that Babip has a Rift Herald to his name. So the next time they make a play like that, maybe they get a kill, maybe they get 2, but do they lose 2 turrets in exchange for those kills?
Always a trade taking place, and it just feels like this series, Peace have always been 1 step ahead in that regard. Consistently, gold leads to talk about, fights to perform from, and once again, Tally is just finding a lot of success on this Twisted Fate to be the general of the team to say, we're making a play this side of the map, that's going to zone this key target away. They're going to fall behind a fraction more as well. Worth noting, though, that Gunkrab for this game at least, down a kill, but just up 20 CS individually. The second Herald picked up again here by Peace, and they are going to revisit that mid lane as you suggest. The Herald's the headbutt not even required to finish that one off. Now, in case Ken Dye will prevent this one crashing into a second.
Looks like they do, but the Destiny is being used.
Crab in trouble. Instant cleanse from the gold card. Now trying to sidestep away from Babip. Tempered Fate potentially protect him, as Babip was hunting with his own ultimate.
Tempered Fate could quite possibly have killed him. I mean, if he gets actually
sure,
stuck in the stasis there, I feel like he's a dead man.
Could have been griefed, or could have been the biggest 5-hit play you've ever seen.
Yeah, and this is the first positive thing I've seen for Direwolves, to be honest with you. So they survived the bot gank. They do end up losing a little bit on the bot side for it, but Claire gets a bit of time top side. He's able to take a turret down on his own, and they're able to push a wave into mid turret. So it's a good reaction to the play that came out of Peace.
And that's what you need to see, right? Because it's what Peace have been doing all series long to such fantastic effect, and now Direwolves are looking to try and find that moment to answer back, to punish themselves, to put a lot of work in towards that mid-tier 1. They've managed to finally take down their first turret of the game in topside. How can they catch Appy? As they can catch him. Also, is Cupcake caught out of position as he's on wall clearing duties and realizes, I don't want to really go into that very fed Jace.
Well, Appy saved the ward, and I think that's the important thing. That was his play. Oh, wow.
Now going to get run down by this Chaos Storm. Just out of range with the mobility that he has. Now to turn around, the Cataclysm, and the True Shot Barrage! Beautiful play from Gunkrep when you need a hero play. Shock and trouble. Oh, the Q's not enough. The shield was there. Now Gunkrep's found himself a double kill, but it's just ultraviolet.
Wow. That's
He's just found himself a double kill. He's going to try and run it down for a triple kill. He will sneak it away for himself. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful there from Peace.
I mean, how good did that look for Direwolves, though? I actually thought that this is the turning point. This is where we're going to see them swing the game in their favor, and Violet just rocks up with one item and says, hey, did you forget about me, guys? Because it feels like he's done a little bit of nothing all game, right? But, I mean, he just steps up now. And 19 minutes in, this is where Ultraviolet pops his head up and says, hey, guys, yeah, I've just been farming, and you can't let me farm when I'm on this Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we're highlighting how Victor is so strong and that beautiful True Shot Barrage from Gunkrab, it's like, well, I am, at the end of the day, a Critical Strike stacking AD carry. I'm going to rock up to this lane with just a Kraken Slayer and say hello. And already at this early stage, at 20 minutes, he's already putting out significant numbers. So you start to get a little bit concerned there at what looked like a potential turning point in this series where Direwolves may have been able to wrestle a little bit of control back in this game. Ultimately, the gold lead has not budged.
And he's got the wit's end now too. That's just a little bit of insult to injury, right? So, because J4 and Lee Sin, in my opinion, aren't going to do enough to kill Violet. And in Violet, he'll be able to survive on his own, but he'll also just dive backline now, right? Like, he's not really worried about Claire and only because he's got a ticket every time that backline, whether that's a Nautilus Dredgeline or a gold card from Tally. But, you know, it almost feels like you need to peel Violet from your team, not peel Violet from a Peace point of view.
Yeah, he's literally a man possessed, isn't he? He's playing on his own terms and saying, you will back me up because I will make things happen like this. Doesn't seem to care. Summoners or not, Cleanse or not. He's very much keen to be a frontline AD carry. Big attention now put towards the spot lane, which has been prepped here by Atali. A fragile tier 2, a flash forward. What I say, flash? It's a Hex Flash actually from Aladoric. Temper Fate will not connect on towards anybody. Only was looking for the Cataclysm. Flash away from Happy to respect it.
The Direwolves can kind of put Peace on a little bit of a clock here if they're able to pick up this Dragon, right? Soul Point, Ocean Soul in particular. So we'll have to see how this one plays out. The longer you dance, the longer you stall here, the more value this Jace pick gets. So you really need to force something, whether it's a Bard ultimate. I mean, Only's getting hit now as well, so...
That's going for a nice and early, a one-man ultimate there from the Northwest. The trap goes down on towards the Dragon, still engaged, getting closer and closer to smite range. It's going to be a 50-50. It's been stolen away there by Babbitt. Fantastic. 2 for 2 now on the Dragon acquisition. And really, if you're Direwolves fan, a little bit tilted by that one, because that could have been your answer back to hold out a fraction longer in this game. Peace can now go on straight towards Baron. Re-establish vision. Play to that side of the map.
And that's very big in the context of the game, right? Because, you know, that's Soul Point there. And with the draft that Direwolves have, and I say draft, but more importantly, Shock on the Victor, that's going to do him a world of favors. And, you know, they may actually break this mid turret. A little bit of good macro here, pushing down mid wave with this wave. And he's kind of got caught in two minds. Do we go for the Baron? Do we go for the jungle camps? Instead, they lost their mid turret. Not necessarily a big deal. But nice little pick up there.
See the pings coming out from Peace once more. Just play these side lanes. We've exposed now 2 inhibs. Actually, 3 inhibs if you think about it. They've picked up 6 turrets, Juves. I mean, the map is open as it comes. I feel like you have one more team fight and inhib's gone. You run it back one more time. The respawn time is, despite us being 23 minutes in, are still going to be a fair bit of time for them to put a bit of pressure towards, you know, connecting on a Nexus turret or double downing on the super minion pressure. And you're slowly working towards that checkmate condition.
Yeah, that you are.
And I suppose, you know, you throw the question back to you. What is Direwolves ideally hoping for? Is it just a case of, you know, Shock hits 16, the Chaos Storm is just too much to answer, the Cataclysm locks in place multiple members, only has the best performance of his life, and, you know, you get a wipe and you get a lot more achieved?
It's... Oh, hold the thought.
Well, there's questions, and then there's potential, and there's reality, and it's just, well, that's just Cupcake gone. Start as Only is locked in place there, kicked away, knocked back. Appy, what he can with the hammer form. He copped an exhaust, and it doesn't really amount for too much, as Tally can cycle through and find another spell to use instead. He had to burn his flash in exchange, as well as the stopwatch, but too concerned. I'm sure he's far away enough from completing that Zonia's.
And that's just cute from Peace, right? Able to use that vision denial to a T. I mean, they just come around the corner, surprise, there's a hook that comes onto Cupcake's head. Shock does a very good job, and Claire, in recovering that play, because they managed to actually zone Violet, who went backline, as well as a few other members. So again, it's not horrible for Direwolves, but to touch on your point, I mean, the question you asked before that happened, is they just need to find a really good front-to-back team fight. We're seeing the damage that Shock is putting out at the moment. Tally had to instantly pop the Zonias, pop the stopwatch. So I mean, if they're able to keep Shock alive, get a good Chaos Storm down, you know, follow that up by maybe a decent Lee Sin kick, or at least the Jarvan ultimate, then it's happy days for Direwolves. Again, they're still in touching distance. It is 4K. Obviously, don't want to be at this deficit, but, you know, the realm in which you find the knock-up onto Violet, maybe the kick, something, the Bard ultimate, there's tools, but if you find them, he does die. So, I mean, if you're a Direwolves fan, you're feeling optimistic, you're pretty positive about this game still, because you do have those strong points in the Victor, in the Jarvan. But again, We're seeing the pick potential from Peace. We're seeing the champions that they have and what they can do. To play around vision, to find the pick, to find the kill, and then that pivots into a Baron because Kai'Sa is one of the quicker Baron takers that we have.
Certainly is, especially at this point here, where you're now well on your way towards completing that LDR too. And at that point, Violet may just be too much to handle. I start to wonder, I mean, they're weathering the storm so far, Direwolves, waiting out for that next dragon to spawn in just under 120. And to answer to all the side lane pressure. They really want to group up and team fight. Hope that Peace get a little bit too big for their boots, a little bit too confident with the state of the series as well as this game. And playing to that point from before, right? Massive Cataclysm, Chaos Storm, and a turnaround from there. Double stopwatches though, it is one for Appy in the top lane, and there is now the completed Zonias for Tally too. He has been the focus. It's become that much harder now to take him out.
And it really feels like, at this point in the game, at 26 minutes in, as we take stock of items, Kai'Sa with the Wit's End, Diego with the Wit's End, it feels like the next team fight that breaks out, that potentially Peace have the upper hand just because of the relative, item power spikes.
Yeah.
However, Shock is building towards that Void Staff, and he's relatively close. So when Shock gets that, I feel like he is actually able to take over the game and turns into a little raid boss himself. So it's whether or not they can manage this next dragon and potentially this next fight. And that's a good start.
Pressure on towards Aladora, Cosmic running across the wall, Cataclysm on towards Violet, he's locked in place, but there's no follow-up from this one. He goes golden, but realizes I have no team to back me up, has to flash away. Now Violet jumps into the backline with the Killer Instinct and does just that, finds one, snipes out Shock, and then this Shock with a double kill, but it doesn't seem to matter because Grunkrab's found another double kill, but he's fallen on down for his sins. It does not matter at all. Clear, 1v3 he goes, Gore Drinker spinning and slicing and taking down Violet. Close.
The boys sacked him there, didn't they? I feel like maybe they could have turned that one around, but obviously they had no idea that Babip was the Lee Sin, so I said his name. But no idea that Claire was able to turn that, and again, this is going to be sole point for Peace if they're able to pick this one up. And I feel like we haven't said his name too much this series, but Babip, for me, hero in that play. And damage comes up to really solidify that point. 3.7k on the Viego. The presence of mind that he had to follow Violet up. So again, this is a decent enough engage. They get the kill for free. Happy does a decent enough job here too, but Shock's damage is just a little bit too much. But watch Violet. Violet creates so much pressure here, and Babip, presence of mind, to Ezreal E over into the reset. And he just creates so much havoc. And it feels like, time and time again, these Viego resets are just becoming so problematic for Direwolves.
But it does feel to be that way. If he's not the pick target, then he is just able to thrive in the chaos that has been brewing from all these explosive matches, these 50-50s that continue to take place there when multiple members are dying. Ultimately, 2 members survived on either side, so it was as close as it comes. So I suppose you could chalk that up still for a win for Direwolves despite the gold deficit. Shock put out of position, the worst target possible. The Chaos Storm on Tally's heads and a flash away after the Zonias. 2-man Tempered Fate, can they answer back? Is there a Cataclysm? It's going to come on through. Locked in place free, surely! It's now or never for Direwolves. Babip does fall on down this time. Gunkrab finds himself back-to-back doubles. It's a shutdown. It's a follow-up. It's Violet that's slow and fragile. Appy jumps in. He finds himself that kill as Bard takes him out in the process. And Juves, I mean, back-to-back skirmishes now. It's getting as close as it really does come.
I mean, the exciting thing about this is Shock was dead. He actually didn't participate in that team fight, and they were able to trade up on that. And it's just a fantastic engage from Only. He lands a 3-man Cataclysm into the Gore Drinker. And I mean, look at the damage here. Gunkrab going a little bit of ultraviolet, if I do say so myself. But also the damage coming out of the Jarvan here. So again, really well put together team fight from Direwolves. And we can see what their composition can do if they find backline access, right? Because Shock falls down here, right? In essence, he trades 1-for-1 because Tally's as good as dead. In this particular fight, has to flash away. Good Bard ultimate, but watch Only here. On the back end. Bang. Picks up 4 members in this Cataclysm. Goes down to his GA. Gunkrab. Absolutely free hitting here. And I mean, he does fall down, but he trades forward. The Arcane shifts forward to try and trade on Violet, which maybe, plays this one a little bit slower. They can pick up the Baron on the back end. But obviously, it's hard to tell. 4k lead. Feel like it hasn't moved, Skimmy.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't feel to be that way. And I mean, that Cataclysm is pretty much everything we asked for in that question I presented to you beforehand about what could Direwolves do to try and bridge this gap and get themselves back in. And to also accentuate that is the fact that, as you say, there was no Shock. That may have been the dream Victor play. That wasn't there, but they still managed to trade out with a numbers advantage. So, 4K has been the magical talking point as to how far ahead Peace are in this game. And you are starting to wonder, can Direwolves find another fight like that? Can Shock survive? He's this time got himself a stopwatch. Flash not too far away. Can they bring this to a game 4? I mean, can they run this one a little bit further back? Because this doesn't feel as convincing as the last few games here for Peace.
Funnily enough, Skimmy, too, it's actually just 1K across the board in respective counterparts. Like, the 1K in each role. And only might be in a bit of trouble.
Could be indeed. Turns it around, instantly goes for the double cataclysm. But actually, members walk inside it. Chaos Storm, where is it? It could just do so much damage right now as they run all the way towards Baron. Violet forced to hit that. Killer Instinct! Hit the binding, Redemption.
Happy.
Where is it? The heal is coming on through. Violet goes into Golden State again. Claire takes him out. They turn things around. Gordrin Cadet, Babbitt. It's a reset city. Babbitt on a double, hunting for the triple. Sonic Wave is there. He gets himself that triple. He's looking for them all. They're cutting off the angles. The members that went to Worlds in 2020 are running them down to get themselves a decisive ace. And to perhaps now Juice, with members down for 40 seconds and counting, find that first inhibitor of this game.
Oh, the pings look like they were on the way to end. That's maybe what was the first thing that was going through their head, but they decided the safer play is this Baron, and I have to agree with them here, Skinny, but what a team fight that is. It is just those micro interactions. Look at Appy's damage in that last team fight. It has been on rotation from Peace this whole series, right?
Yeah.
You know, hey, Appy, you need to carry this team fight. Yeah, you know what? Tally even putting in 3.5k on the Twisted Fate. That's a big number. Violet is the one that gets focused down here. Only gets put in no man's land, but does the best that he can with the tools that he has. The Chaos Storm does so much damage on the back end here. Nice little locket there, and Violet is caught. Violet can't do any damage as he's kiting back. Nice Bard ultimate, but watch this. The stopwatch as well coming out. They burn a lot of cooldowns through onto that, and then he falls down. But I mean, this is where Appy just takes over. He's kind of been ignored, and he's played at a perfect range, and it's just the cleanup crew from here. And such a good team fight coming out of Peace, and it feels like it's just all coming together from them, and they're getting better and better as time goes on, as the time wears on. And
I mean, it just bought so much time as Violet was locked in place for what felt like hours. Soul Point, Peace in control. Aladoric to open things up. A two-man knock up the follow-up. They're going to kill him. So once again, that's going to be Violet. Looking to try and do as much as he can. He falls on down. Clay goes golden. They traded it through. Gun grab across the wall. Dies. Babbitt hunts him. He's found that kill. Only Shock and only a left. A star performance for Direwolves. That can't be enough of a star here today. Violet and Appy, they've fallen down. But that's back-to-back aces for Peace.
Yeah, Skimdog, this could be game. They have Baron, they have the Twisted Fate, they have the Sheen dealers, if you will, alive, hitting these turrets. So it is going to fall down quite quickly. Aladoric is you know, babysitting that wave, pushing that wave in. I don't think it's going to be close. Cupcake will be alive, but he does not have that Bard ultimate to stall. So
Baron
it looks like
Cannon, it's on towards it, isn't it, Juice? One Nexus turret's gone, a second to follow. There's just nobody respawning quick enough here for Direwolves. Peace are going to do it. It's a perfect 3-0. And they're going to rebook themselves a grand final with Pentanet.
Here we go. I didn't know Tally was a dancer. Every time I went out with him, he said he couldn't dance. So good to see the man doing the moves. He does not care. And I mean, they don't look too happy because there's still a job to do. But this is the grand final rematch. Gimme a little bit different, but still the same. Something's changed, but something stay the same. Peace 3-0. They're in the grand final. And I mean, I'm excited now. I feel like these are the two best teams that we have, and all things kind of, what's that saying with Thanos? All things perfectly balanced now.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, given how close Split 2 was, you were thinking maybe the narrative would be slightly different. But Mac, I guess it's all just scripted because we're running it back once again with Pinsnet taking on Peace.
Man, we just started the show. It's like 8 p.m. I'm not ready to be done yet, you know? I'm getting paid a day rate here, and we're here for maybe a couple of hours, and I feel like I haven't even done my bloody job. So I'm a bit sad that we don't get to see more than just the 3 games, but I am extremely happy to see that grand final rematch. Peace playing out of their minds this evening. Direwolves definitely took it to them there in Game 3 again, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. There was the back-to-back aces, which just closed out the game from there, and Peace just knew exactly what they had to do. I'm hoping we get to see some more ultraviolet pop-ups in terms of the camera, because I'm sure that's something to certainly yell about. We did get to see Tally's smooth moves in the server and out of the server, so I'm excited about that. And who knows what he's going to do if they can manage to take the grand final as well, Jude. What do you think he can do?
Look, I'll be honest with you, Mac. Can I be honest with you?
Always.
I was occupied by producer himself.
Yep.
So you might need to ask me that one again if I'm being completely
Okay. So Tally has the smooth moves in the server and out of the server.
Yep.
What can we expect from him going into the grand final if they were to get a dub?
I mean, I feel like we haven't even seen what Tally can do, because it does feel like he's just played the Twisted Fate and the Rise. I mean, what else does he have? Is there a team that's going to push him to really kind of diversify his champion pool? So, I mean, you know, I think the best is still to come for Tally. I mean, if you're a Tally fan, there's a lot to get excited about, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered from you know, PGG, who do have a lot of information now.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I guess this can already start to turn the conversation towards, I guess, next week's games, because there's not a lot to wrap up after this one. Obviously, Dire Wolves, they came in with some passion. They came in with a point to prove, and I think they made it, but unfortunately, they just didn't get any games in the process. They can definitely go toe-to-toe with the big dogs. Only a spectacular performance in the jungle there for Dire Wolves. Unfortunately, he's going to be served up an L from the DoorDash LCO by Peace, who showing their culinary skills here in the Rift. However, I guess, look, 10k gold lead, it's a whole lot of gold, and it's a whole lot of diff at the end of the day. So very unfortunate. But looking, again, at these KDA numbers, it's something I'm very interested in. Yesterday, in the games where the defeated team would usually have like 19 assists, so maybe like 2 or 3 people helping out per fight. But it looks like there's just a whole lot of the team. Like, the team has just been going off lately for Dire Wolves. Unfortunately, they're gone. And I hate saying goodbye to teams. We had to say goodbye to one yesterday, had to say goodbye to one today. And at least we get to give a ticket to a team to go to the grand final. So let's focus on the positives. I just feel sad. I don't know.
I think Dire Wolves will be very frustrated looking back at this one, because multiple times in that series there were games, or sorry, there were moments in the game where they could have really looked to try and flip the script. I think we saw in that previous game those fights where Shock was gone and only was just playing out of his skin. He was just saying, look, this is the best case scenario we're ever going to find, and ultimately it just wasn't enough. So I think Oni's going to be being very frustrated now, having been in the finals, now coming into this one, just knocked out slightly short from it. That, you know, Shock has been so consistently strong in that mid lane, but wasn't able to bring it through when it really, you know, mattered. You know, Peace was just a little bit too cohesive in their understanding of what they wanted to play.
Yeah.
Maybe not flexibility in the draft to really cause an upset there for Peace. They were never really challenged in terms of their picks or their play style. And I mean, at the end of the day, Peace was just saying it just felt like another day in the office. And I'm sure you'll say, Jubes, you know, they felt warmed up. They were saying, we're not having any of this 5-game shenanigans. You know, quick 3-0, focus on for next week.
Yeah, maybe they're thinking about the casters. You know, they liked our voice and they wanted to give us a rest before grand finals, and that's how it kind of felt. But yeah, no, for the most part, it does feel like a little bit of match fitness there too, right? They were a little bit sharper, a little bit quicker to the punch, and sometimes this is the argument to be made when you go through that lower bracket run and you play those games, or if you get that 5-game series. It's a lot that you learn from. Like, you learn more from losses than you do wins. So I think Peace did go back to the drawing board, like they said yesterday, and took a lot from those games.
Yeah, I definitely think they did. Now, we'll bring Nat back into the conversation, because a little birdie told me that, Nat, you said you want some words. You want some words here?
I mean, like, not too many, but maybe more than one. Maybe not more than... Yeah, it's not too many. I mean,
have them all, man.
Yeah, all the words. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that one. I mean, obvious point, the least in. Bit of an interesting one, still in that 0%. So we'll see if maybe Peace try and pull it out in the finals. But the main thing I wanted to bring up was that over the 3 games, Dire Wolves only took 7 towers, which was less than the number of towers Peace took in the first game. So it kind of shows just how really rough it was for Dire Wolves. I think a lot of it came down to that draft, and I think that they were executing, I guess, that draft gap as well as they could. You could see a lot of moments where they could potentially have outplayed them, but yeah, it was just really hard to see no changes ultimately coming out from Dire Wolves. Any significant changes, I guess, in the draft?
I guess that, you know, close is not enough when you win a championship, right? Yeah. No one ever really cares about, oh, we were close. It's like, cool. Yeah. Well, I don't see you on that ticket for the grand final, right? So
it's definitely wrong.
It's rough.
That's not true, Skimmy. People still talk about me getting reverse swept and how much and how much happiness I brought into their life.
Oh, okay.
I will say that. I will I will say that.
Out of retirement, back onto the ref,
Sometimes it pays to lose. If I didn't lose, I wouldn't be here. So
You'd be... No, I'm joking. Yeah.
Very true, very true. Now, look, as the late and great Vin Diesel said, you win by an inch, you win by a mile. You still get the W. That's what matters. And speaking of winners...
He's still alive?
Huh?
What? He's still alive?
Yeah.
Is late? I thought late great.
I thought late and great meant like, you know, the dearly departed.
That's what I thought.
I just say it when I'm talking about it anyway. I'll just go late and great elfish guy. You know,
Is it dead because Final Fantasy, Fast and Furious is gone? I mean, it's just it's been running a bit. I mean, maybe we're losing ourselves at the point here. Back on course, mate.
I'm just going to run away. We're just going to escape here. I'm going to go join Babib. Hopefully I can get some more coherent thoughts out from him. Thank you so much for joining me, Babib. And congratulations on a very convincing series from you guys. How are you and the rest of the team feeling after that one?
Yeah, well, at the end of that game, like, to be honest, I started like popping off. And I felt a bit disrespected that I got Viego 3 games, but yeah, I'm like, I don't know. It's pretty surreal that I've never actually done this run, and like yesterday was my first reverse sweep. So this is definitely a first for me, this split. But yeah, we're all feeling like excited. I mean, this is, to be honest, we thought that we were just going to win these 2 games, obviously, but we're still like super excited about the win.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had this little bit of a Cinderella story, you know, only one more match to make it complete, but you've had the lower bracket run, you got that reverse sweep, you just must be feeling absolutely on top of your game. But you talked about getting that Viego 3 games in a row, and I do want to ask about your thoughts on that draft. You guys seemed very, very clear what you're going to do, and yeah, I just want to know more about how you were so clear on that and how Direwolves could never really outdraft you guys.
Well, I mean, we pretty much knew that Claire's like champ pool for Jace was like quite limited. So, and we knew like Jace was super good into like the mage things that Shock wanted to play. So it was just like an obvious pick. And then like Viego's just pretty like, I would say high in priority in like every region. It's a pretty strong pick. Like a lot of people trade Viego, but I still think Viego's like the strongest jungle, and it also flex picks. And TF just allows us to like play the map. So we know that we can play mid game better than any other team, and even if we fall down like early game, it's still fine. We can just beat teams in mid game, out macro them.
Yeah, speaking of falling down in the early, you know, that second game was a little bit rocky for you guys. Were you not so much worried, but was there a sort of cause for concern during that second game and coming out of it for you guys?
I would say that this was the Malphite game. Yes, the Malphite game. We were like, okay, like they got to do what they wanted to do, so now we kind of have to like pull something out of the box. Like we have to do something like crazy, like win a crazy team fight to win. But yeah, that game seemed kind of lost, but we just like outplayed them. So
outside of the drafting and I guess the answer about outplaying them, what do you think was such an advantage for you guys to have that clean 3-0?
I mean, I would just say that like there's not really any team that can match us in like mid-game macro. So I would just say that's like our strength. We just know how to play the map better than any other team. We usually know what to do with our comps, and so we're never really like too afraid of losing the game. Even if we lose early game, we can still make plays. Teams will still make mistakes. So
yeah, just really good at capitalizing on those mistakes. It really showed tonight. Look, I'll let you go. Enjoy your week preparing for PGG.
Thank you very much.
And I'll see you next Tuesday for the finals. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Bye.
Always good to hear from the players themselves. Now, after the interview, we usually go to the player that delivered. And I'll tell you, we're going to be going there again. So no surprises today. No play of the day first. Going straight in here, and no surprises that it's Appy doing a huge job over all 3 games of the series. Not too sure what he's doing. Is he trying to take off here?
Is that Superman? What is that?
Maybe?
Ripping the shirt.
Might want us to check if he's got something in his nose or not.
Yeah, it looks pretty clean.
It does.
Yeah,
maybe chest diff. Maybe he's been watching Dragku VODs and he thought, you know what, here we go.
Staunch it out.
I thought he was doing some kind of like superhero pose. Was it Iron Man that pushes his hands down and flies off? That's what I think.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going for. Either way, he was a bit of an Iron Man up in the top lane today. Big job done for Peace, and he's going to be able to enjoy that $100 DoorDash voucher.
35%.
35%.
Damage share.
Oh.
That's wild. He's actually done so much. I mean, Jace always does a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, especially if you win the game, because it's going to be a focal point of the composition. But yeah, like that's a good game from him. Good game from the young man.
It's just crazy to me, AJ, that he gets the same champion 3 games in a row, and despite focus being shifted to him or not, you know, even in that game where he was like, what, 1-6, he was still putting on a huge carry performance. And I think that's, you know, very commendable, right? When you are always fixated on the person that's going 10-0 and popping off and getting all the glitz and the glam, but he was, you know, be it down or you know, popping off, he was looking consistent, a real rock in the top lane for
Kelly.
them to dance around. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, I'm excited. You want to know why?
Why?
Play of the day time.
Oh,
so,
is it?
what play do you think was the play of the day today, gentlemen and ladies?
That last game.
What was it last game?
I'm going to think it's Ultraviolet jumping in and getting the triple kill to answer back. Probably that, when he had like one item. And you're thinking, this is the dream situation for Direwolves, so he gets a triple. I'm thinking that.
He gets the Michael 3 play, that's my one for sure.
He did, mate.
Yeah. Very true, very true. Well, I'm just going to let you know, it was that one. So, well, it is. I mean, it was from game 2, so let's have a quick look back at the play of the day.
Let's
Juice,
bust it out.
got your notepad in?
Yeah.
Of this one.
Let us go down. Okay. Yep. Analyzing. Robot brain.
I'm convinced that when you watch this, you're just thinking of what great, like, one line.
I already got one. I think it's going to
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Right. So we got Ultraviolet here on the front line, putting the feathers down. And guess what? The feathers going all in. The feathers go down. Is he going to rip those ones back? He's going over Ultraviolet. Come here. The feathers get ripped back. The reset's coming in from Babin. Absolutely fantastic. He flushes forward. It's Super Saiyan Violent. He's taking his team to the grand finals. He gets the Michael 3 play. Yell it out, son. Yell it out.
Production smurfing, no.
I thought that was good,
Bro,
to be
that
honest.
was so loud.
Wait,
it was great. It was great.
I would retweet that in a heartbeat, mate.
Brother.
That's all of my job. I'm done.
Can I tell you, I think something popped in my head. I need to go to hospital. I think something...
My eardrums popped too.
No, my head, I genuinely felt a valve in my brain pop. Is there valve?
You look fine. It's your head's
Maybe
just
you
as big
like
as usual.
broke what are they called? Synapses, the things that your nerve endings that talk to each other.
Oh, well.
Maybe you broke a few of them.
Broken more than them in my time.
Well, let's have a quick look back at the bracket and see what has been updated after the second last day of games here. And it is Direwolves coming down from that top bracket. Oh, and going all the way out. So at least they managed to get 3 games over order there in the first game that we did manage to witness. But then lost 3-0 to PGG and lost 3-0 to Peace. So that has been their run here in the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, we have to say goodbye. Now Peace, you see them starting at the bottom. 3-0 Chiefs, 3-2 Order, 3-0 Direwolves, and all the way up into the grand final to join PGG, who have yet to drop a game. So are they going to drop a game up against Peace? I guess we will find out next week. Now, Nat, you know how you were talking about the way that teams went and the structure and stuff, and it was pretty much exactly the same as last split. It's different now, right?
It is. I was going to say, one thing I do like is consistency or patterns, I guess. But one thing I like more than patterns is a good old Cinderella story. And I have to say, Peace are looking really good potentially to get that glass slipper back on their foot. You know, it's looking, I don't know, they're just such in good form. The fact you can reverse sweep, the fact you can come all the way from the lower bracket, like the mentality of your team, the hype, the confidence you guys have to be having right now is insane. And I'm sure there's a bit of PGG that are like, yeah, we're confident we can win, but there's always that sliver of doubt that's like, I mean, they beat 3 other teams to get here.
That's a lot. That's a lot of teams. So, and that's a lot of games as well. More games than anyone else played throughout playoffs. So Peace at least have that match fitness that got them through today's games. Is it going to get them through the grand final? I guess we'll see. Anyway, it's time for the weekend. So before we jump out, any final words?
Go back, watch all the VODs, and see the part that Peace and PGG took to get here.
All I'll say is Peace built this roster to get back into the finals and to this time beat Pentanet. And, you know, it started off a little bit shabby. Multiple roster swaps, big headaches, confusion, Draft Lord giving us cryptic question marks. But eventually, we're back here in the grand final. Pentanet make it the perfect year, or can Peace cause the upset?
I guess we'll find out. Anyway, I think that's a very good time to leave it. So, ladies and gentlemen watching at home, thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show this week, and we only have one day left of games. That, of course, is the grand final next Tuesday. So be there or be square. I'd prefer if you were around, as the saying goes. But look, I love you. They love you. Look after yourselves. We'll see you on Tuesday.
The quickness is there. Cupcake looking for a charm, can dash on through. Not going to find it. Locked in place by Aladoric, who knows that champion far too well. A flash away from a gold card as the Peace looks to try and counter-engage. There's a knock that's not going to be found as Babbitt does become the Rakan. The first blood is there. Oh, Aladoric, the flash death sentence. And now Guncrab without a flash, without a cleanse.
Bot lane, push it out, but he probably values the poke that he's going to get down in.
Here's the turn. That's Cupcake jumping on in. They had to make it. The 50-50 didn't look too good for them. The Chaos Storm is coming. Ripping fire. 3-man drag back. That's Babbitt jumping on in, looking for the reset. He's low, but he's found one soul. He's soon to find a second soul. Appy going to fall on down, but Guncrabs is dead. Violet with a triple kill. He's just been soloed by the 300 power spike of a Jace. The fight breaks out in mid lane. Cupcake with the quickness, looking to try and find himself that key target, that key charm, that Chaos Storm. Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam, trying to find himself that win right there. But Appy goes golden as he assassinates out Guncrab. 1-2 tap. He's done the job for his team only. Still flawless, still deathless. Running away with Vegeta. He hopes not to pop the blue buff. Is dead. Oh, he can't connect with the follow-up Q.
He's dead. And Omi might be in a bit of trouble.
Indeed, turns it around, instantly goes for the double cataclysm. And actually members walk inside it. Chaos Storm, where is it? It could just do so much damage right now as they run all the way towards Baron. Violet forced to hit that. Killer Instinct! Hit the binding, Redemption, where is it? The heal is coming on through. Violet goes into Golden State again. Claire takes him out. They turn things around. Gordra and Cadet Babbitt. It's a reset city. Babbitt on a double, hunting for the triple. Sonic Wave is there. He gets himself that triple. He's looking for them all. They're cutting off the angles. The members that went to Worlds in 2020 are running them down to get themselves a decisive ace.
There I go again, breaking your heart, left in the dark, 2 worlds apart. There I go again. Stuck in the streets, I know it's bad for me. I know you wanna leave. I know you're feeling up with pain, cause I'm stuck in this game and there's no one else to blame except myself. Is strange and I cannot feel the pain. Look, you wanted me to change, and I know you can't stand the way you feel. So in the streets, I know it's bad for me. I know you wanna leave. There I go again, try to get a Benz. You tell me that there's more than life than selling. I can change for the money I'll get. All I knew in life's rebelling in this way of life. There's no talent, especially if you guys commit violence. Some of them are